Aloha, everyone. Welcome to the May meeting of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. Tonight, we start our meeting with the Honolulu Fire Department. Fire Captain?
Right, over here. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I get to open the meeting this evening, and we're going to share with you our statistics for the Waikīkī Fire Station, our incidents that we responded to for the month of April. They are as follows. As far as fire-related calls, very fortunately enough, we report no structure fires throughout Waikīkī. Excellent. No wildland brush fires, which would include Diamond Head. No nuisance fires. These are those that are rubbish fires that are outside of a structure or vehicle. There were no cooking fires. Again, another right on. We did have 7 activated alarm calls, which generally are just normally malfunction in systems, or sometimes people will deliberately pull stations. We had 7 of those. The other emergencies that I have here to report, we had 188 medical calls, no motor vehicle collisions involving pedestrians, although there were 4 motor vehicle collisions in Waikīkī. There were no mountain rescues. We had 4 ocean rescues and 1 hazardous materials call. Now, as you know, if you've come to the neighborhood board meeting, I'm also happy to present to you a safety tip as given to me by our community relations office. And this month's safety tip is about home fire sprinklers. Here's a few bullets. First of all, fire sprinklers serve as the first line of defense against fires and often extinguish the fire before I even arrive, or any fire company. We do have more information at the homefiresprinkler.org. First of all, a couple bullets to share. Fire spreads quickly and can turn deadly in under 2 minutes. As we know, also the things that we have in our home contribute to what's very toxic is synthetic materials will often burn quickly and release deadly poisonous smoke. High-rise individuals in home fires include small children, elderly adults, or those with disabilities, and even our pets. Fire sprinklers protect your home and family, and they activate automatically to control the fire, thereby giving everyone a chance to escape. The best protection is having a working smoke alarm, which I think I presented maybe a couple months ago, fire sprinklers, and a practiced fire escape plan. And there's more information about this on our website, fire.honolulu.gov. That concludes my report this evening, but if anyone has any questions.
Any questions from the audience for our fire department?
Oh, beautiful. All right.
From
You
the
guys
board
have
members?
a great rest of the
Anything
evening.
else?
And
Okay,
we'll
thank
see
you.
next month.
Next, we have Honolulu Police Department.
Good evening. Happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. Hope you guys had a good one. Lieutenant Angela Kitagawa from Night Watch, District 6, here to share the statistics from last month. Robberies this month, we had 2. Previously, we had 4. Burglaries this month, we had 16, where previously we had 10. Thefts this month were 114. Previously, there were 128. UAVs, 14 this month. Previously was also 14. Assaults this month were 31, or April was 31, previously was 23. Sex crimes, 2, previously 7. Bikes, skateboards on sidewalk, we had 4, where previously we had 1. For speeding, we issued 3 citations, 0 arrests, same as previous month. Parking, we had 1,813. Previously, we had 2,278. Loud muffler, prohibited noise, we had 1, as likewise with previous month. Park closures, we had 85 citations with 15 arrests. Previously was 85 citations with 20 arrests. Total calls for service was 4,099, where previously was 3,285. Thank you.
Questions from the audience first, then I'll get to you, Daniel. Audience questions. Please use the microphone by Daniel.
Hi, I just wanted to thank all of the police officers. First of all, a couple weeks ago, we had a huge vandal problem at the Mo'ili'ili Japanese Cemetery. The guy broke 10 haka gravesites and stole urns. And right now, we believe he's still in triple OC. But thanks to the officers in District 7, we were able to put all of the things together, all of the many reports we had to do. And I just want to thank all of you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Daniel.
Thank you, officer. I noticed we're going to have a report on new legislation that has passed that is before the governor for signature. And one of those bills is Senate Bill 1216, and that was sponsored by our very own Senator Waikīkī. That bill explicitly provides, I'm reading it now, that motor vehicle muffler violations may be enforceable by police officers. They're raising the fines for a first violation from 100 to 150, a second violation from 300 to 350, and a third from 900 to 950. This is a great result of this board advocating for the mufflers to be addressed in our neighborhood like we've so long asked. Unfortunately, this legislation has a weak link, and that's the police department. And I'm wondering if the police department is knowledgeable about this legislation passing, that it becomes, or that it coming from our local legislator, our state senator here in this district, and is there any intent ever to start enforcing the muffler laws?
Thank you for that. And I know that has been an issue that's come up previously on the meetings. Like we said, we are doing our best to get those citations. I believe that with the higher citation fines, that could be a deterrent to those people that do have them. But yeah.
I'm sorry, it's hard to understand how you're doing your best when there's only been one violation issued in this month and the previous month and every month prior to then. I don't think you guys are doing your best. So if you can explain yourself or tell us of plans that you will be trying to do your best, that's what I think this board and the neighborhood want to hear.
Okay, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. We do have other crimes and stuff that are happening, like in the other statistics. So I'm not to say that that's not an issue or there's something that we're looking for, but there's other calls for service that we do respond to. We do hear you on that. We did put out the sign putting out that there was the violation and everything else at the beginning of Waikīkī. So we do hear you and we are listening. We are looking for different ways.
Board members, anything else? Tim?
Yeah, good evening. I have some concerns, and maybe you guys can help out. I've talked with Major Ogata. Since we've had Safe and Sound down here, the courts have really let us down. John and me, we track all the lurkers and how many times they're arrested and whatever time they get and stuff. And I've talked with the mayor, I've talked with Tommy Waters, I've talked with everybody. It isn't getting any better. We're wasting so much money on just this revolving door. And it's not HPD's fault, don't take me wrong. You guys are understaffed, but I can basically go down to Kawakawa any day and run into 20 people that are severely mentally ill, addicted, or whatever. It's an outdoor mental institution, Kalakaua. And it's not, it always, on the police department. Corps is never down there. They haven't dealt with any, I've called them multiple, 25, 30 times, and they never take care of the problem. But I just wanted to let the public know, we're spending millions of dollars on this, and we're not getting any results. We tracked the same people from years ago that are down there. I'm going to court tomorrow to testify against one of them. And I don't have any great expectation that anything's going to be resolved. I just wanted to let everybody in the neighborhood know that no matter what the narrative from the mayor or whatever, things are not getting any better. And we can document it. We have the documentation. We have the names, the dates, the arrest. So it's not an indictment of HPD, but you guys need to get out of your cars and walk. Even if it's a block, go into the bushes behind the restroom. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Driving by is not good police work. But thank you anyway. It's Police Observance Week, and I appreciate everything that you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Hi, everybody. John Dutzman. Want to back up what Tim said with a story from last week. We had a woman declared unfit for trial on a disorderly conduct case. Declared unfit, crazy for lack of a more medical term. Because her crime was a petty misdemeanor, the court released her back into the street while she was still crazy. This goes on over and over again. I've brought this up many times here. Exactly a week later, she threw a rock at a tour bus here. And you guys, she could have killed everybody inside. She was charged by the police department with criminal property damage, first degree, Class B felony, 10 years in jail, possibly. Again, she's still crazy if you follow the timeline when she did this. The prosecutors knocked it down to CPD 3, which is a misdemeanor. She acted out in court, crazy in court, couldn't appear. And then today, miraculously, she became sane. She only got 7 days in jail and a 6-month geographic restriction, although she should have got a year because it was a misdemeanor. So that's what these guys are up against. This woman was, we know that most of the people out there we think are crazy. We have a lot of people who are documented legally to be unfit for trial, meaning they don't understand the charges against them, they can't defend themselves, and they're cut loose over and over and over again for these guys to deal with them and for the public to deal with them and for the poor people, the tourists in the bus to get hit by a rock. Thank you.
I appreciate all that feedback, and I just, we appreciate your guys' help too when you guys send the emails. Want you to know our command does send that out to the watches, and we are aware of all the issues that you guys have. It just goes to show that as HPD, we do respond to multiple different types of calls. So if some action feels like we're not responding to something or taking care of, it might be because we are taking care of the mental health. We're actually responding to fire calls as well as HFD. We respond to medical type cases. We do a diverse type of thing. So if one area does feel neglected, I apologize if that seems the way it is. If you look at all the other stats, you know, we are responding to multiple different types of an array of different crimes, as well as people call if they need directions. So we do hear you guys. We are doing our best. I feel if you feel that we're not, then you know we're always open to suggestions. But just understand that we do respond to all these statistics, and that's why we're here representing. And we're a part of you guys too. We're not against you, and I hope you feel that you guys aren't against us. We want to work together. So I appreciate your guys' time and all your guys' feedback. The prosecutor's office does have their own part of it. All we can do is respond, do our best, make the best cases, and push it forward. So thank you for your feedback.
Okay. I don't see any more hands. Yes.
I'd like to piggyback on what Tim said. Having more officers on their feet in Waikīkī or on bicycles. By the way, May is bicycle month. Yeah. So on Monday, I went to, they serve water and little snacks. There are about 6 officers on bicycles. Why are they not on the streets in Waikīkī? Because it's not about, as Tim said, issuing citations to everyone. It's about having a presence. And if there's a problem, speaking to the people on the street, rather than having 5 squad cars, in my case, 5 squads showing up when I was biking on the sidewalk in the most dangerous section of Waikīkī, 35 miles an hour, 4 lanes of merging traffic. I have a book because I just came from the library, and they're handcuffing me, calling the sergeant and a female officer to frisk me. You are not underfunded, under-resourceful.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members?
Your full name?
Amy Ammon.
Just as a reminder, if everyone could state their full name before speaking, that'd be awesome.
Thanks, Sarah.
Anything else from
Just
board members?
quick to respond to, sorry, that we do have, like you said, there's bicycles that are going out at least twice a week for the community policing, I believe, during the day, not when I'm working. At nighttime, we have ATVs that do check behind the substation, checking all the parks, and they actually have really good stats at taking care of a lot of those issues as well. And the foot patrol, right now, they're looking at more of the bike patrols and as well as an electric bike type team that they're looking into. So they are looking into different ways. So I appreciate your feedback.
Don't see anyone else. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting Police Week.
Dominic, are you there online for Board of
Yes.
Water Supply?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Apologize for not being in person. I had a scheduling conflict, but I will be there next month. No main breaks for last month. No current Board of Water Supply construction activity in Waikīkī. And no formal water related reports. So this month I'm going to make my formal report a plea temps are rightly reduced. Water resources need our attention for management, preservation, conservation. Our webpage at boardofwatersupply.com/7ways has a bunch of ways to efficiently save and conserve water around the home. We're encouraging people to water yards in the early mornings and evenings, take shorter showers, check your toilets and sinks for leaks. And we are also encouraging people to take advantage of the multiple rebates we have for water efficient fixtures. So you can also check our webpage. You just type in rebates and you will see a list of types of rebates offered: toilets, faucets, shower heads. And we have both residential and commercial rebate programs available. And I'd be more than happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply at this time.
Questions for the Board of Water Supply? Audience members, any questions? Board of Water Supply. Board members, any questions? Board of Water Supply. Thank you, Dominic. We will see you next month, I hope.
Yes, thanks. See you there.
Next on our agenda, we have citizens' concerns for items not on the regular agenda. Again, I remind everyone that we have a 2.5-minute time limit on concerns, on any comments. Anybody in the audience? Yes.
Thank you, Laura Ruby. How many of you on the board knew Joan Hayes? How many of you on the board knew Joan Hayes? Did you know Representative Joan Hayes? Okay, Joan Hayes lived in Waikīkī and she became famous for Citizens Against Noise. And I'd like to think that you people in the last several meetings that I've gone to, many people have complained about various noise qualities. You might go back and form a permitted committee and look back at Joan Hayes and what she did and all of her committee work, because she did get things through legislation. So you might want to try to pick up on some of the things that already existed. And I think it'd be a really good opportunity because you might be able to just piggyback on that and do something effective. Thank you. Joan Hayes, I know she was in the 70s and 80s, maybe into the 90s. She's a good friend of mine. Really good person. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Other questions from the audience? Yes, go ahead. Use the microphone right there.
Last meeting, I reported a problem at 222 Kaiamani where the grate in the street was caved in. Nothing has been done. It's still a hazard. It's still open. And I just, wish somebody would come out and take care of it. They said they were going to take care of it last time and nothing has happened.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Dr. Lai, are you available online?
Chair Finley, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Although I am a former chair of Neighbor Board 13 covering downtown and Chinatown, I'm here today as a regular citizen. I wanted to ask you, your board members, and importantly, members of the public who are attending the meeting to consider taking a look at the link that I'm about to chat into the information on the chat pane, and I can share it otherwise for those of you who are present, about some irregularities in the ongoing neighborhood board election process for the 2025 election cycle. In brief, I've prepared a letter that outlines some of these concerns that can be forwarded to the Neighborhood Commission and the Neighborhood Commission office ahead of the next meeting of the Neighborhood Commission next Monday evening at 6 p.m. to register concerns about irregularities in the ballots for contested elections across the island. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in a contested election or not, or if you're a citizen or not, you should be concerned that the election in this case has not been run and operated in the fashion that is mandated in the neighborhood plan and through other statutes. I encourage each of you to read the message I'll post, and it has a link to a letter that you can copy and download online. Thank you, Chair.
There's a Mike Buck, did you say? Mike, are you online? Are you online? Mike, are you there? You are muted, sir. We'll move on to Tim.
Had some concerns. It's in our area, and I did bring it up with HPD, but directly across the Alawai, we have a new city similar to Tijuana. Has anybody noticed the laundry and the stuff hanging on the Alawai golf course and the tents? There's a tent that is directly under a sign that says no tents. And it's the next district, HPD is in charge. That's where the cutoff is for District 6 and 7, I guess. But I brought this up in front of Anton Krucky, Roy, the homeless solutions coordinator, Mayor Blanchiardi. I sent multiple pictures of people defecating in the bushes. They're not allowed to go into the library to use the bathroom there. But they just moved, I think I counted 14 tents. And a lot of our visitors utilize Alawite Golf Course. And Kapahulu is one of the entrances for coming into Waikīkī. And from a marketing perspective, I don't think that's very good marketing that you would have a bunch of homeless people just setting up shop there. And I would like the board to maybe think about saying, you know, that's not really good. So, I mean, that's my feelings. I got my tax bill and my property taxes are quite high. And I'm thinking of selling a house if anybody wants to buy it and moving to the Alawite, because obviously it's okay to live there and you don't have to pay any taxes and you can do whatever you want. So let's all go down to Walmart and buy a tent, sell our house, get out of the crux of the city, and move to the Alawite. Thank you.
Tim, followed by Catherine. This is the audience first.
This is an answer to what he was talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a presentation at the last meeting about a tent village that was going to be set up on the other side of the Alawai. Could that be what he's referring to?
They moved it.
Oh.
It's over by the old stadium park. Tim, go ahead.
Aloha, Jacob Winsack. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Tough act to follow up on Tim there, but we all got our ballots here for the neighborhood board election, and taking the neighborhood board, while it is serious, right, it is something that we can't take too seriously. And unfortunately, there are certain individuals who want to be more show horses than actually put into work to represent this community properly. And, even though we do have challenges, this board has been able to take community action and be able to move the needle towards solutions, right? As Daniel Jacobs said, we were part of the advocacy this board has been doing, has been able to push for more clear laws on how to deal with noise irritants, which is an ongoing concern for our neighborhood. And, I would just like to extend my thanks to Bob, Lou, Ken and Daniel Jacob, Catherine, Lisa, Jeff, Sarah, Jillian, Chad here, and for our members online who I think they're here. I can't see them. I appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting into advocating on behalf of this community. The period is almost over to cast your ballot. If you live in sub-district 1 or 2, I would encourage you to vote for some of these fine individuals if you find them on your ballot. They put in the work. They take the sport seriously. They put Waikīkī first when others do not, sadly. So I really appreciate this. I appreciate the time everyone does, and I conclude.
Okay. Do I see? Mr. Buck, are you still there? Are you muted, sir? I see you have your hand up. I don't see any other hands from the audience. Okay, please.
Amy Ammon, I have a question about affordable housing, specifically at 417 Kanikapale, and putting an application in February. The cost was $1,552 plus utilities plus private insurance. And going back in May, this month, the price increased to $1,787 for a studio. And the income to qualify, minimum 5,100 grand and maximum 8,500,000. My question, did the city or the building decide on the increase for rent?
Does anybody know anything about that? I'm afraid, if you could wait until we get our mayor's representative in and ask her that question.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other non-agenda questions? I don't see any. We will move on. At this point, we have a vacancy in Sub-District 3. Any of you Sub-District 3 people have a candidate? Catherine?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Ralph Nordoff. He's in the audience tonight.
Oh, there he is. Any other volunteers? Don't see any. Sir, would you please go to the microphone and tell us who you are?
Aloha. My name is Rolf Nordahl. I live at the Waikīkī Grand Hotel. I've lived there for 42 years. I've been a resident of Hawaii for 65 years. I moved here after I got out of high school. I have my own business. I support people that use Macintosh computers. I have my name of my company is macmouse.com. And I also have a very important job. I have a small dog who I found a babysitter for tonight, but ordinarily also bring to these meetings. Her name is Victoria. Does anybody have any questions?
Sir, could you come up and show your ID to our neighborhood assistant while we're doing that?
I would like to make a quick comment for those of you that are not familiar with Rolf Nordahl. He is my neighbor. We own next door properties at Waikīkī Grand Hotel. And he didn't even mention to you that he is the president of the board at Waikīkī Grand Hotel. So he gets a number of large capital improvement projects done. And he has a lot of commercial connections and vendors, and he's very easy to work with.
Just a second, sir. Wait right there. Okay, we have no other candidates for for this seat. Catherine, are you nominating him?
Yes, I am nominating Ralph Nordoff for the position that's empty in my district.
And we have a second.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion from the board members? Seeing none.
Okay. When I call your name, please say Rolf if you're nominating him to be or to fill in the vacancy for Sub-District 3. Okay.
Say his name.
Oh, yes. Yep. Okay. That's our procedure. Sorry. Okay, Julie Anderson.
Ralph.
Okay. Catherine. Oh, she's not here. Lisa Carbonaro. Okay, she said Ralph. Shotaro Dabbs.
Ralph.
Okay. Stephanie Easley.
Ralph.
Okay. Louis Erdachek. Okay. She said Ralph. Okay. Melissa Fellick. She said Ralph. Okay. Robert Finley. Okay. Okay. Catherine Hensky. Okay. Daniel Jacob. Ken Jacob. Okay. Jeff Mers. Ralph. Okay. Craig Masakian.
Ralph.
Okay. Chad Schneider. Okay. And Sarah Worth. Okay. He is nominated on the board, and now I need to do the.
Sir, you need to take the oath of office, give us 2 quarts of blood, and
Rolf brought us together. Rolf brought us together. I know, that's why, you got this, he brought, it's the person who we agreed on. The charter. Yeah. He puts the sheet down. Right. That's fine. But on open bars, I said he's very private. Here.
welcome to the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. Okay, moving along while he gets a seat. Okay, next is our public events. Thanks, Sarah, for correcting my typos on this month. June 6th, Friday, 7 to 8:30 p.m. will be the Troy Barboza Enforcement Torch Run. They run up to the university and light the torch, starting the Special Olympics, I believe. So that's what that's about. June 13th, Friday, 12 p.m. till 5:30. I'm sorry. Starts, closed. Anyway, it's the 42nd annual Pan Pacific Ho'olaulea, which is a street event. I believe they closed the store. Okay. June 14th, Saturday, 7:30 a.m. starts. Closed the street closes at 8:30. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, you got me confused. To 1 p.m., the King Kamehameha Celebration Floral Parade. Please attend that. It's a wonderful event. And my doctor rides her horse in that event. June 15th, Saturday, 3 p.m. it starts. The road closes at 4:15 till 7:30. The 42nd Annual Pan Pacific Parade. June 28th, Saturday, 12:30 starts, closes at 2 till midnight, the Waikīkī Pineapple Festival. Thank you, Sarah, for the correction. So those are the June events that we know about. Okay, applications for liquor license. We have a request from the Twin Fin Hotel and Tiki's Bar and Grill. They're separating the 2 functions from just the bar, which had the hotel license, to having the hotel get its own license. It's just a special. Okay, elected officials. The mayor's representative, Nola, are you here with us? Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Finley and members of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. Thank you for having me. I have a couple items from last month, but before I get to that, I just want to make a couple announcements from the mayor's monthly newsletter. And of course, this can be on, seen online, but I wanted to note that the city is actually has created a guardian ad litem program for homeless. And so the city's looking for volunteers. So guardian ad litems were historically for children in homes that needed people to actually represent them in court and to watch out for them. So they've created a program, similar program for the homeless people, and they're looking for volunteers. So I guess there's an email here, the state, Hawaii State Judiciary, GAL for guardian ad litems, GAL@courts.hawaii.gov. So if you or anyone that you know is interested, I think this is a really valuable program, and anything we can do to support the homeless initiative is great. I think two recent laws that perhaps, Chair Waters or his representative can speak to it more, but the mayor just recently signed two new bills into law. The Bill 1 in 2025 ensures the city's outdoor dining services program becomes a permanent fixture. So I know there were some issues, but in general, during COVID, when they allowed restaurants to use outdoor spaces for dining, it has met with favorable response from the public. And so he assigned that into law, and basically it issues permits to local businesses, allowing them to expand seating onto sidewalks, parklets, and other designated public spaces. And of course, they do have some regulations that they have to follow. And so hopefully, I know some of the issues on Gohio will be addressed in spite of the permanence of the ability to get outdoor dining permits. The other thing that I think would be of interest to this community is Bill 50, which refines regulations for street festivals and parades in Waikīkī to reduce traffic and congestion, encouraging more festivals in other neighborhoods. So really, this Bill 50 actually reduces the number of allowed permitted festivals down the Kalakaua Avenue. The number of street festivals will be reduced from 12 to 6 per year starting in 2026, next year. To better manage the closures, permits will be limited to 2 festivals per 4-month period. The changes are designed to improve traffic flow, support local businesses, and enhance accessibility for first responders and individuals with disabilities. This limit, the 6 festival per year limit, doesn't affect legacy events such as the Honolulu Marathon, Ho'olalea, and Toys for Tots. And they've also introduced a streamlined permitting process. So hopefully that will, be something that the residents will be pleased about. And then, so of course, the mayor's newsletter can be online. You can always find it online, the whole newsletter. The responses from last month, I'll just try to go briefly throughout them. One more announcement is if you know anyone that is interested in summer fun, basically the signups are from May 15th to May 19th, based on where your program is located. And basically online, you can go to https://bit.ly/summer fun map. And so that's basically their opening enrollment for summer fun, kids that want to go to summer fun. And also, you can also look at the same site for a job in summer fun. Okay, so the responses from last month, there was a question about the tiles on the accessibility slope at the corner of Kailani and Kuhio. And one of the residents asked if these tiles could be replaced because they're damaged. And this is from the Facilities Maintenance Department. I believe this was actually from the prior 2 months ago. They're saying that because of the frequent damage of paper tiles on accessible ramp areas such as this, the city has determined that it's not feasible to replace the tiles in those areas, but they're doing temporary patching with concrete or concrete patching material, and they will reconstruct the accessible ramp area as part of upgrading the ramp to the more modern standard. I don't have a time on that, but it's on their list, on their job list. There's another carryover issue from 2 months ago. There was a question about the damaged drain grill. A damaged drain grill reported outside the condominium at 222 Kailani Avenue. And I guess it had been taped up. And so the Facilities Maintenance Department also said that was part of their responsibility. So it is a city grate, and they have ordered replacement grading, and they will replace that as soon as it's available. So as soon as that comes in. Okay, there was a question, it's kind of an ongoing question, asking us to break down the revenue of the collected $1.5 million in revenue, specifically the vendors and how much each of the vendors contribute to the city revenue. So this was from the Department of Enterprise Services. The $1.5 million in revenue generated from beach activities. The breakdown is Dive Oahu, 82%, and Pacific Island Beach Boys, 18%. Okay, so there was a question about the mayor taking the pay increase of 67% instead of the 3%. I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, but there is no 67% raise for the mayor. There never has been a 67% raise, but the current salary commission for the city and county submitted findings of fact and 2 resolutions for all of the elected and appointed officials for the city and county on April 23rd, 2025. The salary commission, based on research and recommendations, is recommending a 4% increase in wages across the board to address the effects of inflation and increasing CPU, consumer price index for urban consumers, at the rate of 4%. According to the salary commission, they are recommending the mayor's pay be established at $226,080 during the period July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2026. And lastly, I think the question, I think we addressed this last month, but we're not really sure. There's a question about leaf blowers, asking that the blowers are ineffective clearing out debris. And it seems the departments are saying that none of them use leaf blowers. And so I'm sorry, this isn't a very good response, but basically we've asked all the departments that work on maintenance in Waikīkī. And so DFM cleans the streets, Waikīkī streets daily. They use mechanical street sweeping equipment. They do not use leaf blowers. The Waikīkī Business Improvement District Association does manual sweeping of the sidewalk and gutter areas using broom and dustpan. The Waikīkī BIDA also maintains the landscaping on Alawai Canal and Kuhio Avenue on behalf of the city, but neither of them really know who would be using the leaf blower. So I'm sorry, I really don't have the city does not have a response to that.
Actually, it's the tree trimmers.
The tree trimmers.
They use a lot of blowers.
And I don't know, that might be the Parks Department then.
I'm not sure who lets the contract.
Tree trimmers.
Well, they're constantly on Elamont or Alawai Boulevard, shutting down traffic, and they use leaf blowers to blow up the residue. So, yeah.
Okay, we can try the Parks Department. I don't think we had asked the Parks Department. But no, I'm sorry, we did ask Parks the first month and they referred it to DFM.
Might be facilities maintenance, who knows?
No, that was the answer from DFM. I mean, it's possible that the parks is, somebody's contracting out the tree trimmers. It's possible that those are contractors that are not city employees. I'm not sure. But, we can try to pursue that. But right now, both parks from the first month and DFM from this past month are saying they don't use leaf blowers and they don't know who's using leaf blowers.
Okay, you have a question, sir?
Yeah.
Please use the microphone.
Park department. It is the park department. It's the same folks that clean up on Moana Park. And, or the Kapiolani Park, I'm sorry. And I see them in the morning when Victoria and I walk down to Waikīkī to visit the Royal Hawaiian. They blow the entire sidewalk on the ocean side with leaf blowers. They're generally quite considerate. When they see someone walking towards them, they will stop or aim their blower away from the people that are impacted. But it definitely is the same people that take care of the park in Kapiolani Park.
Thank you. Any other questions for the mayor's, Sarah?
Hi, Ms. Nola. So I wanted to clarify, and you're right, I misspoke. It wasn't 67%, it was 64%. But when politicians do that, they're like, oh, no, we've never gotten a raise like, 67%. Come on, I misspoke by 3%. You're just going to ignore the 64%. And just so you know, this is what the Salary Commission, I don't know if people know this, I didn't know this before this came up, that the Salary Commission is composed of 7 members. 3 of them are chosen by the mayor. 3 of them are chosen by city council, and 1 of them is chosen by both of them. So all members of the Salary Commission are from the council, appointed by the council and the mayor. And I find it funny that the salaries that went up was the mayor and the city council, because their report in 2024 to justify increasing this city council's raise was, they stated, pointing to cities' 35% job vacancy rate. Commissioners also said that they hope these increased council salaries would attract more high-quality candidates for office. Here's my thing, 35% job vacancies, that's not the mayor, that's not the city council. Have you guys ever seen a city council seat empty? Like no one runs for that position? Have you ever seen the mayor position? No one ran for it? So why are they pointing to 35% vacancy? That's all the people that serve us. That's my concern. And actually, just one last thing, sorry. And I know it's probably not you, it's probably whoever gave you the report. I really appreciate, I know you try really hard to respond. So my concern is that, it's I guess these politician semantics, when they kind of work their way, I just want to make sure it's very clear that the people deciding that they need a raise are chosen by the people who are getting the raise. And the part that frustrates me is that the salaries for the other positions, that 35% they're actually vacant, they're not increasing those. It's not enough to be competitive. So they remain, our vacancies keep increasing. So that's my issue. Mahalo.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, 2 years ago, the Salary Commission did award a large raise for only the 9 members of the city council, 3 of whom rejected that raise. The mayor and all of the cabinet, of which I'm on, the elected officials and appointed officials, were awarded a 12% raise that covered the prior 3 years when there were no raises because of COVID. But the Salary Commission is really tasked with trying to keep the salaries of the appointed and elected officials up with the collective bargaining with all of the 10,000 employees in the city who get raises every year. So if the Salary Commission does not give commensurate raises, then we have what we call inversion, where quite a few number of civil service members make more than the cabinet and the mayor. So there are quite a few, and we there's collective bargaining is a negotiated union. We have 9 collective bargaining unions, and their raises go in every year. and they're at different amounts. And so the salary commission really is tasked with trying to make everything consistent across the city because there aren't collective bargaining agreements for appointees and elected officials. So their job is really to try to keep everything consistent. Now, I can't speak to the large raise that was given to the city council 2 years ago, but that was for the 9-member city council, just for them. And I can't, the salary commission felt that they did research and they felt it was justified that those elected officials were given a significant increase due to perhaps past lack of raises. I'm not sure, but this year there's a separate salary commission for the state of Hawaii, and they also their raises were, much more significant this year. So the salary commission for the state officials and the city officials they work similarly, and they're tasked with keeping the salaries of elected officials and appointees consistent with the rest of the city.
I see 2 hands in the audience. Ma'am, would you please use the microphone there?
Hi, I'm Shelley Oates Wilding. Firstly, I wanted to thank you for everything that you do and the city does. I just had a follow-up question from something that was actually brought up 2 months ago, and I'm not sure if I apologize if it has been addressed. And that is on Alawai Boulevard between the Macaulay Bridge and the Alamoana Bridge. The street sweeping twice a week. We now have people that are needing care, and unfortunately the carers can't come to visit them on Mondays and Fridays because they're making the residents get all their cars out from 8:30 till 11:30 on Monday and Friday still. The streets are very clean, but the streets have been very clean for 50 years. And my concern is that it's not necessary, but it's also making a big impact on the older people in my building. I know that, but I also know that we have many people who've asked me to come and say this. So I'm just hoping that we can get to the bottom of, well, last time we came, nobody really knew who it was with. If you could help us with that.
Thank you.
Jacob first and then you.
Aloha, Chair Jacob Winsek, and thank you for consistently attending these meetings, NOLA, and giving the great information that you always do. It's very much appreciated by this community. I'm a regular Beaky user. I try to use it whenever I have trips in town. And for the past 5 years, I've been taking Beaky from my house to come and attend these neighborhood board meetings and return home on Beaky. And, I've never felt more safe cycling on Kuhio than with the priority bus lanes that we now have on Kuhio. I don't have to worry about cars or getting hit because technically per city ordinance, bicycles aren't allowed on city sidewalks, and I follow that as much as I can. And just having that option of a dedicated bus bike lane is making just a world of difference. I was able to get here quicker, safer. I didn't have to worry I was putting my life in my hands. And I wanted to use this opportunity to encourage the city. I know we've got the budget coming up. I know we just passed the primary urban core development plan, which shout out to City Council. Thanks for pushing that through. We need more of these transit options. We've got the Complete Streets program, and we just need to more aggressively push these easy wins that shouldn't be taking years to do. I think it took 3 years from when this board first heard about the priority lane to when it got done. And then I know we've got a Complete Streets project for Alawai Boulevard, which, I'm waiting. I think we're now 3+ years waiting for that to come through. So I really encourage, we want a more pedestrian, bike-friendly cities to reduce those daily car trips, because the number one cause of traffic is cars. And if less people need to take their cars out for simple, short trips, then we can increase the just the enjoyment of the city better, less road rage, less me having to sit and take 10 minutes to go from, say, Ala Moana Mall to my house. It's ridiculous. So I really urge the mayor and the city council, for whoever's listening for that, to please prioritize these easy, complete street wins. Let's get these better bike lanes out. Let's get better pedestrian infrastructure out. It makes a world of difference. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I know, Denise Boisvert. I wanted to follow up on something I brought up a couple of months ago. I was out of off island and I couldn't attend the meeting last month, but I think there was something said about those dangerous steps at Lilia building on the corner, the Diamond Head corner. What is going to happen from my complaint? Or
Yeah, last month, we had asked DPP to look at the file, the permit, and they say that the permitting of the building and the steps is legal. And they approved the building as it was built, and they approved the final permit. So it's built within specs, I guess. And for whatever reason, it has created a hazard. But I'm not sure. I think it must be because of the material or the way it was designed. But according to DPP, there's no violation. So they feel that they are not able to, they can't cite the owner for the building. And so I think last month we talked about the fact that if there's a liability, that someone should notify the owner of the hotel or the hotel manager, so they understand that there are people falling. But I think from the city's perspective, it's difficult. There's no particular activity that we can do because we have approved them for, they're within code. They're within the code.
well, somebody needs to do something. If it's not the mayor's office, people are falling.
Have you contacted the hotel?
I tried last year. I got no response. And
I
then
see.
when I saw Kupuna fall just a few months ago, I brought it up to the Waikīkī neighborhood board saying, I've already tried to contact them and they ignored me. I mean, honestly, I think it's the Queen Emma Land Company that owns that land.
I see.
I mean, don't they fund Queen's Hospital? They care about health. I don't think they'd be that happy knowing that their lessee Brookfield Properties has set up something so dangerous. I mean, those steps just completely blur in the right light and people don't see them. The elevation just disappears. And I've almost face planked myself. I caught myself, like I missed that first step. And if I hadn't somehow started running to keep myself up as I went down, I would have hurt myself just as badly as a woman in my building. And she was in her 40s or so. So it's all ages that are vulnerable to these steps. I don't see why they can't put 2 more handrails. That would at least make people see them more, and then paint the edges because it's all the same color. And when the sun shines, it just blurs. People are looking at the street corner, the lights, just around. Somebody's got to do something. It's like, you just wait. Somebody really gets hurt and they find out that we're all talking about this for months and nobody does it. I mean, does anything? It's really dangerous. So that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not crying wolf. The sky is falling. It's going to fall. So thank you.
Yes, Greg.
If I could, on the same issue, I'm going to ask the resident who just spoke, have you forwarded the photos you sent that I saw? So Lou and Bob have, okay. So Nola, what I saw on the photo, I was copied also, is, and I've almost tripped on this. I've taken a step and kind of caught my balance on the same steps. What I've seen in that photo is shocking because it literally, when you look at it, it's just a fall waiting to happen. The material of the steps and the material of the sidewalk is the same material. The question I have is, where was the material procured? Were the sidewalks done at the same time as the steps? If they were, there seems to be some partnership with the city if the sidewalk is city-owned and the hotel owner. If it's the same material, it looks like the same color, the same material, flagstone, and it's very concerning that no one from the city is stepping up to address this. So when you look at the steps and you look at the photos, if anyone's looked at these photos or seen these photos, you'll see that it's a fall waiting to happen and probably has happened numerous times. We're just not hearing about it. But we're hearing about it here. So I would hope that you could do something.
I don't know. I mean, I can ask again, but again, you know, as I mentioned, it's the DPP, the response is that is not city property. So all of those flagstone pavers, I believe that is private property.
Again, I realize it's private property, the steps going up, the sidewalk is city-owned, correct? Okay, so when you have the sidewalk that's the same color flagstone, the same material as the steps, there had to be some partnership to procure that material.
So apparently whatever they did is within the building code. So I think the Department of Planning and Permitting is saying they approved what was built because it's within the code.
The code is irrelevant to the concern with the danger of the issue. So you could have something to code, but you then still have a danger element that somebody didn't think about. It's just a simple appearance of the steps. It's an illusion that when you look at it, you literally can't even see there's steps there. The photo is so amazing when you see that photo. And I
can only
almost fallen.
What I'm saying is that they don't feel that they have the authority to go to the hotel and say, you need to fix it because they've already approved it because there's no violation of the building code.
Yeah, I'm not saying they. I'm saying maybe the mayor could just make a phone call to the hotel. I mean, I'd be happy to walk over there with him if you want to go and we'll chat, you know.
WBID, the Business Improvement District, the one is, I don't see
I can
Brett.
certainly ask them.
Because, you know, that it's possible that they're members of the WBID, this hotel, and perhaps that would be the way to go to ask.
I'd be happy to work with Trevor to do this.
That hotel is one of his members and to approach it that way and to let them know that this is a subject of complaints and possible liability.
Yeah. Simple solution, just color the edge of the flagstone and maybe install a couple of hand railings. We're talking about, you know, a couple $1,000s worth of work and to save a lot of liability and injuries.
See, I have Sarah and I have two people online. Go ahead quickly.
Sorry, Ms. Nola, I know that you're just relaying what you're getting from other people, but two things I want to point out. One is if the code is allowing this dangerous situation to happen, then the code needs to change. You know, point blank, the code needs to change. Second of all, even if it is to code, if the city finds something to be unsafe to the public, the city can intervene. And third, yeah, why can't the mayor just make one phone call, like reach out? I mean, he just got his big raise, so come on.
Okay, online, we have who's that?
Margaret, you have your hands raised?
Yeah, I do. It is the city that has, and they call them sand blowers, but they are leaf blowers. I talked to Laura Thielen about them. And they start at about 6:15 a.m. every morning. So they are leaf blower, sand blowers. Also, too, I might have missed it, but there was a dangerous incident at the city-owned Waikīkī Vista. Did the police or anybody talk about that? There was a stabbing in the residence of the Waikīkī Vista, formerly Tokai University, that we purchased and turned part of it into, you know, a home for people that low-income housing. And then the Royal Hawaiian Band is there too. That's the home of the Earl Hawaiian Band. But some lady, it looked like she was out on parole, and there was a big article in the paper. But a lot of people don't know what the Waikiki Vista is because it's not in Waikiki. It's got the Vista. Anyway, did they talk about that earlier in the police report or anything?
No, that
Because it was,
hasn't come up yet.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
We had a chat request about the early morning trash haulers. I did speak to the mayor and they're trying to schedule a meeting about that. Is there any update on that? As far as, I know the mayor and the
I-
managing director,
Preliminary meeting, and I believe they're trying to set up find a date for a town hall.
Okay.
But I think the administration wants all of the interested stakeholders at the meeting, so it has to be set up at a time when everyone can be in the room.
and who? Stephanie. Oh, Stephanie.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I'm very sorry I couldn't be there with you all tonight. I am not feeling well and didn't want to subject you to my head cold. And Nora, I really appreciate your being there. I have taken on the project of trying to fix up Ainakea Way, which is the street beside the canal house that runs along Jefferson Elementary. It is become a public kind of trash dump. My canal house paid hundreds of dollars earlier this month to have trash removed at our expense. My I am going to meet with the principal of Jefferson and try to get something going on. But the issue that I have specifically for the mayor is apparently if there's no street address, the city cannot pick up the material. And, you know, that's a whole block long grass strip with no street address that has shopping carts, mattresses. We had a couch removed. And so I'm just wondering if I'm working with Rep Tam's office, Chair Waters' office, and I'd like to loop in the mayor's office as well to try to work on this issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is the gentleman in a black shirt back there?
My name is Tim Hike. Thank you for being here representing the city. I wasn't feeling well last month, so I couldn't attend that meeting, so I'll ask you. This is about the Kuhio Avenue bus lane project, which seems to be working great, except one issue I've noticed is that people that are heading Evabound, when they want to turn left, they're having to wait for the cross traffic. And so those cars that want to go straight, that are stuck behind that car waiting to turn left, are stuck there as well because they legally aren't supposed to go into the bus lane, even though it's wide open. So it seems like your choice is either break the law or you have to wait 3, 4, or 5 cycles just to go 200 feet. So I was wondering if the city was considering adjusting the stoplights to incorporate left turn arrows. Just looking at the situation, it seems like that would be a solution to that problem. But I don't know if that's something that maybe they've already addressed. If they haven't, if there's any way that somebody could maybe look at the intersections. This is mainly Uluniu and Kuhio, and then also turning into International Marketplace. I've noticed traffic backed up there. There's a problem with when traffic backs up, there's more likely chance for a traffic accident. And again, it increases people now not complying with the law. And the more traffic gets backed up, then intersections get blocked. It becomes an issue for people trying to get out of those cross streets to include emergency vehicles. So if you could find out the answer to that question, that would be greatly appreciated.
I'll ask DTS. I mean, I'm not sure that it's illegal to use the bus lane to pass somebody trying to turn left, but I think that's do we know the answer to that question?
If you could send me an email, sir, I would appreciate it because I've had other concerns about the bus lane that I'm passing on to DTS. They have a monthly or weekly meeting to see what they can do to improve it. So if you could send one just to my neighborhood site, I can add that to the list. I know there was a major complaint during the, what was it? Spam jam, that traffic backed up heavily because people could not use the bus lane to go west. And it backed up traffic for about half an hour in some places. So adding that, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to address, you're right. A lot of the left turn lanes to go Mackay off Kuhio, some of them have left turn arrows, some of them don't, as you well know. So I do see what you're talking about with that. I'd be a little bit concerned if, cars were allowed to then zip into the lane, zip out. Bicyclist, and a moped, I go through there, and if it's green, I don't anticipate anyone being in there. I see the dilemma, again, but there are some traffic lights which have the green arrow. The problem is the ones it's green yield.
Right. And of course, those left turn arrows that were already there were before this project started. So the city would just have to maybe make some timing issues. I know it's all kind of connected. But yes, it is a safety issue because if all of a sudden everybody goes right and then turns left, you do run the risk of a bicycle or a motorcycle who are allowed to be there, or run into a bus. And obviously we don't want that to happen. Thank you.
Try. Anything else for the mayor? Don't see any hands anywhere. Nola, you've been worked to death again tonight. Oh. Yeah, are you talking about the?
No, I wasn't sure if you were here earlier about the grate at 222 Kayamani. It has not been, nothing has been done with that. You mentioned that they were going to fix it. They have not done anything with that. And then also about the bus lanes, I don't know if anybody knows, but they painted new bus lanes on the Mackay side of Kuhio today. So now we have bus lanes on both sides of Kuhio. So that's going to cause more congestion. And then your issue about the tiles on the road that they decided they weren't going to replace them now, they were going to put that off. Are you referring to the tiles that designate the accessible exit off of the sidewalks?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. So what was?
Okay, you mentioned that they decided that the tiles did not have to be replaced right now of the sidewalks.
Well, I'm sorry, what is not going to be replaced?
The tiles.
Oh, the tiles. Okay, the tiles, right. Yeah, they're going to do concrete.
Okay, they're going to concrete, okay, because that designates the accessible exit from the sidewalk onto the street. So
Right.
now instead of having the tiles, which are different from the flagstone, they're going to have cement.
Yeah, because they're saying the tiles get broken too often. They
That's
don't
true.
last very long, so they're going to just replace the tiles with cement.
That's true, because they're very hazardous for people, especially in wheelchairs or walkers. Okay, thank you.
Think we got them all. Don't see any more hands anywhere. Thank you, Nola.
Thank you.
Is there a representative from Chair Waters?
Yes. Aloha, Chair Finley and members of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. Kevin Imanaka, District Chief of Staff for Tommy Waters' office. Tasha Luke from our office did email the link to District 4's main newsletter to the board, and I just want to point out a few highlights from that. As was mentioned earlier, Bill 24, 2024 pertaining to Oahu's primary urban core development plan passed third reading in May and is now awaiting the mayor's signature. This bill creates a strategic plan for growth and development along the island's most heavily populated communities and neighborhoods. The city charter is Honolulu's version of the Constitution and is now under review by the Charter Commission. Every 10 years, the mayor and the city council appoint a charter commission to propose amendments for voters to consider, and this go around will be for the November 2026 election. So they're hard at work coming up with amendments for voters to consider at the next election. First, for all city issues, I want to remind everyone that the Honolulu 311 app is a quick and easy way to report concerns directly to departments that can track and provide updates in real time. You can submit photos and drop a location pin for the departments to locate the issue. A picture tells 1,000 words, and it's a great tool to use combined with the support from our offices. We're always glad to support the board and constituents. And finally, I just want to report that, as was mentioned earlier, that Managing Director Mike Formby, Deputy Managing Director Krishna Jairam, and Chair Waters are planning to hold a town hall discussion on the topic of Waikīkī trash pickup very soon. Currently, the administration and the council are both embroiled in trying to get this new budget passed. But we hope to convene a community meeting and invite the trash haulers in particular to discuss the complexities of their operations in Waikīkī. They're targeting, as far as I know, late June or early July. So we'll keep you posted on that. Both the mayor's office and we will keep you posted on that. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Questions for Chair Waters? Go ahead.
Aloha, Chair Jacob Winsack. Glad you're able to mention Bill 24, the PUC DP getting through. I talked about that during the mayor's portion. So really glad you guys were able to get that across the finish line. I know you guys have been pushing, there's some new bills for the city council meeting tomorrow, talking about more affordable housing. I appreciate that push. Please keep it up. And then there's a resolution of particular interest to me, Resolution 105, which passed the zoning committee last week. And it looks like it's moving on its way forward, either today or at our board meeting next month. We'd really appreciate if the council member could provide some updates on the status of 105 and really the positive impact that resolution is going to have on the community. For those of you who don't know, it has to deal with the exciting issue of minimum lot size and a whole bunch of other technicalities to really tackle some of the fundamental challenges we have to building an affordable Honolulu. So would really appreciate any update you have on, sort of the path that resolution is taking, and hopefully get an update from Council Chair next month. Thank you.
Other questions for Chair Waters? Sarah.
Hi, it's actually nice being able to see you. Once again, I'd like to point out that I know that Jeff Merritt's made it a point when we first started about the importance of being here and how it's so much more helpful to have someone here live. And I know that Daniel's pointed out to HPD, it's really helpful to have someone here. So I just like to mention again, it'd be great if we could have someone here instead of via WebEx, but I appreciate you being here. So the question I brought up last meeting was the fact that Tommy Waters wrote a letter to the Star Advertiser saying that he was going to, and I quote, reject a nearly 30% pay hike recently recommended for his post by the City Salary Commission. I asked that question last month and I was hoping you had a reply for that. And the second thing I'd like to say is I am all for salary raises, but I do have an issue with the fact that he said he would then push forward a bill that they would work full-time. And after they got that raise, they then voted against working full-time. So my first question, though, is about the 3% that he said he was going to take.
Yeah, so that was a statement that he made to the Star Advertiser, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that in that fiscal year, Chair Waters did decline that raise.
So I'm sorry, it does say, he further went to say for fiscal year 2025. So are you saying
He declined the 3% raise that was recommended by the Salary Commission in that fiscal year. So last year.
So last year he got the 64% raise. Would you mind double checking that? Because
yeah, see,
great. I appreciate it.
Sarah, I'll take your concerns back to Chair Waters and we'll get a response to you.
Stephanie, I see your hand up. Are you there?
I am. Thanks so much, Bob. And I just wanted to thank Chair Waters' office. Adam and Tasha have been very helpful in my project or our community project to clean up Waikīkī Way right along Jefferson Elementary, and just wanted to thank you for being so responsive and let you know that we'll be back on your email chain.
Any other questions for Chair Waters? Seeing none, I see no hands. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Bob.
I don't see Senator Moriwaki here. Is there a representative here? Is there a representative for Senator Moriwaki? Seeing none. Representative Tam?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. My newsletter is on the table, but my report is very simple. The legislature is adjourned, sine die, and I believe we had a lot of things done in terms of bills and things in the budget. We were able to secure $5 million for beach restoration projects in Waikīkī, as well as grants for the Waikīkī Business Improvement Association. Recently, we were able to get money released for the Alawai Elementary School playground as well. That was something that has been in the making since 2019. In terms of bills, we were able to pass the condominium stabilization insurance bill, which is, I think, Senate Bill 1044. So that would be some welcome news for our condominium owners. We also passed a new green fee. I know that, I'm not a big fan of taxes going up, but I was able to put in language as tourism chair into this bill that would ensure that a portion of that green fee will go towards restoration projects in tourism districts, such as beach restoration. So that's there's some good permanent funding coming in, and that is written in law. With that, there will be a newsletter mailed out to everyone with a synopsis of all of our priority bills that have passed. So keep an eye out for that. Now I open it to any questions you may have for me.
Questions for Representative Tam? Oh, go ahead.
When is our favorite summer movies on the beach starting? When's the opening weekend that you do that?
Oh, I have to check. I don't run the program, but it is, I have to see if it's still going on.
Board members, questions? Greg?
Aloha, Representative Tam. Just a question. I noticed, I'm a condo advocate and I speak often on the subject out in the public. And I noticed that most of the condominium measures this year, the bills that were put forward were either died or they were modified to an extent where they weren't really very helpful. There was one, I can't remember the number right now, but there was one that was passed through that's going to offer an electronic way to get documents, which is a good thing, hopefully at no cost. But SB 1044, I just wanted to make a comment. This particular bill has two elements, and I had been interviewed on it too from a radio show, but I don't think it's going to be helpful. I think we need to do more for the next session. There were many bills that were not introduced for committee hearings, and hopefully those will get introduced or there'll be new bills coming forward. But there's an element of this with CPACE loans that I'm also concerned about with debt. So I just wanted to make the comment. I don't think SB 1044 is a solution for most of the condominium associations throughout Hawaii this year. And I hope there's better next year. And I don't know if you have any other bills that you're looking at for next year, but maybe you can, look at some that we can get through for the next session. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, I'm good friends with the CPC chair, Scott Matayoshi. And, I do acknowledge that, we have a lot of work to do. And that's why I'm looking forward to working with him during this interim to come up with great condominium bills for next year.
Stephanie, I see you had your hand up again.
I did. This will be the last time, Rep. Tam. I want to thank you. Flora from your office has been so responsive to my concerns with the, all of the trash and chickens along Anakia Way. Because that property is owned by the state of Hawaii, it is a state issue. So just thank you for your help, and I'm going to continue to work on it. Mahalo.
Thank you. Flora's great. Happy to have her.
Any other questions for Representative Tam? Seeing none, thank you for another great legislative session. Is Yvonne here from the mayor's office, or governor's office? I'm sorry. Pardon my eyesight. See you back there.
Hi there. I imagine my report is like some of the other representatives in that we've been quite taken up with moving these final bills through, and now they're going to the governor for signature, and there'll be some signings. And one of the most significant ones is the green fee, the 0.75% that will be levied as a TAT on visitors. And that those funds will be used for helping to mitigate climate change, sea level rise, and other things like that. So happy to take questions, but that has been the kind of crux of the last month, is moving this legislation through.
Do we have questions for the governor? Jacob.
Aloha, Jacob Winsack. Thank you for coming this evening. I really appreciate Governor's presence here. This morning, I was reading in Civil B that the ACLU was coming out and encouraging the governor to veto SB 1322, which is a critically needed piece of legislation to update our involuntary commitment laws and rules. Unfortunately, as we were talking about the homelessness issue here earlier in this meeting, it is hard to get people the help they need when so many of them tragically have substance and mental health issues, and they aren't able to make decisions for themselves. And, I would like to take this opportunity to say we're the pro-crime, pro-disorder ACLU Hawaii, which really has no understanding of the hardships that everyday people here have to go through, including the hardships and the human tragedy of those who are suffering and not able to get the help they need. I would like to strongly encourage the governor to sign this bill, to ignore that bad advice, and to provide the crucial tools that not just our law enforcement, but our homeless services and our broader housing programs need in order to get people off the streets where they are just dying before our eyes in real time. We've got to do the right thing, and the right thing is sign Bill SB 1322, so that way we can provide the tools for those who can address this issue quickly. Thank you.
Noted.
Anything else for Sarah?
Sorry, by the way, I love your outfit. Very cute. But I had a quick question about the DLNR handing over responsibility of the Hawaii State beaches, namely the beaches here in Waikīkī, over to the tourism office. Would it be possible to find out why that occurred for next meeting? I'm sure you don't know off the top of your head, but it was just,
I understood that was with the Office of Sustainability, not HTA. I wasn't aware there was any move for that money to transfer over to the Tourism Authority.
Maybe I'll email you, because what I read was that we were told last meeting was the DLNR is handing over the responsibility of the Waikīkī beaches over to, it's the, what is it? Shucks, it's called it's very long. It's Office of, shucks, what is it? Economic Development, Tourism, Business. Oh, business. Yeah. So I was just wondering what the impetus for that is, because I mean, there is a huge environmental issue, and it would be great to have not a commercial people deciding where the sand should go. So I just wanted to know if you could follow up to find out what the thought process behind that was for next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think it, like under DBAT, the Office of Planning and Sustainability is an associated agency, and they're the ones, and they've presented here before, that are in charge of that project. So I don't think it's necessarily handing over decision-making to the tourism industry, even though DBET overall encompasses that tourism agenda. But they're not passing over the direct responsibility to the tourism authority. Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, Jacob touched on it, but this makes me think it's probably a larger discussion. We know there's been the federal layoffs and some cuts to programs. Does the governor, does the state, do they foresee massive cuts to any? I mean, we don't know. Day by day we don't know, but I know it's a loaded question. But I'm just thinking, are we anticipating some cuts? And is the governor at least thinking in terms, and the state, how those can be either not cut or integrate? It's a larger discussion, but I'm just thinking, is any on anybody's radar to hopefully be able to anticipate what may be cut in the coming years?
Yeah, it's at the top of mind for everyone and has been since January 20th. So the Attorney General has filed a multitude of court actions and injunctions against the federal administration and some of these proposed cuts, which are actually illegal and unconstitutional. And they include things like foreign aid. They include a lot of programs that could impact health and welfare of people in the state. Significant decreases in already allocated budgets to the University of Hawaii for medical and other research. So that is an ongoing battle. I think battle is a fair word for it. And it isn't just the state of Hawaii. In some cases, it's the state of Hawaii taking the lead on, the fight back on these things. And in other cases, it's a coalition of 22 or more states together that are filing what are essentially class action suits. And so at the end of the day, the courts have to make decisions on this, but in other circumstances, funds can just get jammed up. So at the Energy Office, for example, we have, I don't know, millions of dollars of programs that are federally funded, and we've been so far okay. But even things like them deciding they were going to dismiss the Energy Star program, which has been really helpful for energy efficiency for decades, will impact our ability to actually meet our objectives, our energy objectives in the state. So it's a battle on all fronts, I would say, and with billions of dollars literally federally at stake. But I think our governor's been playing a leading role in fighting back, and particularly on things that involve health, welfare, medicine, because as a medical doctor, that's his background, and he knows what can happen if we don't vaccinate against measles and how quickly some of those things can take hold on a population. So in each and every instance, I think he's on top of it. But if there's specific programs that you want a response on, I'll try to bring in more information back on them. Anything that had DEI in it in any way basically has been, yeah. And so in some cases, it's just been a matter of trying to kind of change the terms and scope of work that are related to some of the funding to make it more palatable to this new administration. So and if it's already contractually obligated, it's very difficult for them to completely rescind it. So some things that are already obligated are fine, but there are others that are obligated where the funds just won't end up in the bank account and they won't be able to be dispersed. So there's lots of ways to slow down those funding channels. It's deeply concerning. We have to figure out, as you said, how do we then change course to figure out different ways to fund all the programs that are integral to how we can live and thrive in this island nation that we have.
Yeah, just to briefly add to what Yvonne said and further answer Jeff, I mean, I can tell you that this is going on everywhere around the country, obviously, and I know that even in my own job, the Disability Rights Center, we're looking at potential funding cuts. We don't know how it's going to play out, but we are lucky to have the governor that we have, and I wanted to thank him. And I do think that the governor and the political leaders here in Hawaii are being as proactive as they possibly can and doing everything that they possibly can. The legislature passed a bill that added, I think, an additional $50 million for agencies that lose their funding and things to maybe make up a shortfall. There was a Civil Beat article on the class action, the settlement with Big Pharma, $700 million, and the governor announced that he's going to put that aside to fund some health programs. So, I mean, we're all in this on some level, but I think that we really are fortunate to have the leadership that we have here. I mean, I'd hate to be in Arkansas, Mississippi, or someplace like that. I think as bad as some of these assaults may be on the safety net and on vulnerable people around the country, I think Hawaii is going to probably weather that about as well as anybody will. So thank you.
I mean, even with the significant cuts that have been suggested in the budget with the programs funded under the Inflation Reduction Act, a lot of those program benefits would have ended up in red states. And, it's ironic. They're intended to build manufacturing across the states. And those are the very programs that are being cut. So yeah, very challenging, but I agree. I think, we're in a good spot, and as much as we can be doing everything we can to mitigate some of those administrative changes.
Any other questions for the governor? Don't see. Did you have a question for the governor? Okay. Don't see any more. Thank you, Yvonne. Rick Agate is ill tonight, but I will call him tomorrow and ask about the Lilia building steps to see if that's a member of his organization. Okay, new board business. We have the City Department of Transportation bus routes. Katie, are you here? There she is. Please come up.
Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Irene Banal. I'm with the city's Department of Transportation Services. And with me tonight is Katie Cullison. She is with our consultant, PBR Hawaii. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share our department's ideas with you tonight. Katie is going to walk you through the bus service adjustments that are under consideration for this next segment of the Skyline opening, which is, as the mayor announced in his State of the City address on October 1st of this year. We've been attending the different neighborhood board meetings because this is where the community leaders are. You all have a better sense of what your community and neighborhood are looking for, what they need with respect to public transportation. And we're here tonight to receive your thoughts and your concerns about what's shared and take that back to our department as we continue to evaluate these proposals. Ready? Okay.
Aloha, Chair, Board, community members. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
on a pretty packed agenda. I'm going to work kind of quickly through this presentation, and then there'll be hopefully up time for questions. And we'll share an email address if you think of anything later that you would like to ask the Department of Transportation Services about these proposed bus routes that are under consideration. As Irene mentioned, this is one of 14 neighborhood boards that we're visiting to request preliminary feedback on these suggestions. And also, as Irene mentioned, the bus route changes that are under consideration right now are meant to be in alignment with the next phase opening of Skyline Rail, October 1. So in this presentation, I'll share some information about the next series of stations to be open, the bus routes that are under consideration for adjustments, and provide an email address at the end for comments. On the next slide and the one that follows shows just a graphic of the Skyline stations that have opened with phase 1 and the next series of openings, phase 2 in October. As you know, the first phase opening terminates at Aloha Stadium. And then on this next slide, you can see that the second phase of the opening will terminate at Middle Street, as has been well reported, connecting more people to employment centers. So this is important for consideration in adjusting some of the bus routing. The bus changes are meant to accommodate the rail extension, and overall, bus and Skyline hours are increasing to improve service to riders. So you can see in kind of the smaller print on the screen, some hours that are changing, expanding of hours on weekdays and weekends. And then the third from the bottom bullet point, I wanted to point out to you that there's kind of 3 phases of bus route changes that are occurring or are proposed to occur with this October 1st opening. Phase 1 actually occurred in March of this month or this year, and I'll show you a slide showing some of those routes. I'll walk you through a number of bus route potential changes that we're looking at for October 1, and then a preview of a couple of other ideas that are under consideration, and we're seeking feedback at this time. All 3 of these phases of bus service changes, if taken cumulatively, would actually increase bus service on our island 3%, which seems like a small number, but when you add that all up, that equates to about 40,000 hours annually. So the idea here is to maximize the use of our buses as Skyline comes online. Okay, so this next slide, you can advance to the next slide that has a map on it. That's the one. This slide just shows a few of the routes that were adjusted in March with the first opening of Skyline. These routes were restructured to provide service to Skyline, and a new route was added to get riders from Ewa Beach to UH West Oahu Station. So that's just for your information. And then you can move on to the slide after this, which shows kind of a graphic representation of how bus and Skyline can integrate together to make a more seamless network with a core of rapid transit buses. So on this slide, what you're seeing is an A line, W line, and U line. I'll walk through each of those, where these core rapid transit buses would make limited stops kind of through and to employment centers. And then the feeder network that we all use to get around our neighborhoods continues to provide localized service. So the intention here is to make those commuter routes more reliable and faster for the riders who choose to use them. So this next slide and the one that follows is the first route under consideration that we'd like to share with you. This first slide shows the current A line. You can see that it extends all the way out west to Pearl Ridge Station. And then on the next slide, you'll see that the A line is under consideration for a termination at Lagoon Drive. The hours of service are proposed to be expanded to run later into the night, and there's no change to the frequency of service. So as I was saying earlier, when lines like this are truncated and funnel people to Skyline, it frees up more buses for service for improvements elsewhere on the island. So that's kind of the idea here. On the next slide, you can see how the A line is under consideration for truncation and would terminate then at Lagoon Drive. So then if you'd like to move on to the next slide, this slide and the following one show how a new W line is suggested to be considered to replace Route 20. On the first slide here, you'll see the dash line. For those of you who are probably at home can probably see it the easiest. The dash line, which represents Route 20, and you can see how it's kind of redundant with the Skyline route. And so then on the next slide, you can see this new W line to Waikīkī is proposed to connect Skyline at the airport. And then in the small text, what you can see there is that the hours of service are expanding to add earlier mornings, but then the W would still be running late into the night for people who work here in Waikīkī. So there's also proposed to be a greater frequency of service, and you can see that in the table on this slide, giving riders more flexibility in planning their commutes with fewer stops. The next slide that is up on the screen just shows a bit more detail of the W line and some efficiencies that are under consideration near the airport. And then as it passes through downtown, it would be under consideration to run along Nimitz Highway rather than through the CBD. So I will, if you don't mind, sharing the following slide, which is a new route that's under consideration. That is proposed to run from Mapunapuna to UH Manoa on weekdays. This route would allow anyone to catch Skyline from the west side and then hop on this limited stop bus that would get them to the Manoa campus. The frequency is proposed to be every hour with extra trips during the congested AM and PM peak hours. So that's under consideration, proposed U line. And that's just a single slide. The next two slides, I'll just quickly touch on them because they're kind of out of this neighborhood, but these are considered a Route 303 considered for discontinuation with a change to a proposed Route 331. These routes serve Joint Base Pearl Harbor and Hickam, and the idea is to reduce some redundancy with Skyline. And you can see on the next slide how the bus route 331 is proposed to connect Skyline to the Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam there. So under consideration, if that's a service that you use, we'd appreciate some feedback on that one. The next slide shows some existing routes that are proposed to connect to Skyline at Lagoon Drive rather than further out at the stadium. So it's a series of slides, the 40, the 42, and the 51. And just to note, the note on this slide suggests that Route 51 would continue to stop at Pearl Highlands. So that might be important to some riders of that route. And then the last slide that is under proposal for change, October 1, is one that affects folks out in on the west side. Just a service frequency reduction to meet kind of the demand that is seen for Route 46. Right now it's running every 10 minutes, and the idea is to run it at every 15 minutes to align better with the amount of ridership that it's getting. So those are the proposed changes. I know I went really fast through those under consideration for October 1. I'd like to just preview a couple of other commuter lines that are under consideration for a future change. And so I just want to put these on your radar for tonight. The first route to preview, you can advance to the next slide after this, is the C line that currently runs Makaha all the way into Waikīkī, could run instead to the UH West Oahu station from the west side, where they get out of traffic onto Skyline for the rest of their commute. It would mean another transfer. But the whole idea is to overall cut that commute time, have fewer stops for the commuters that would wish to take this route and get out of traffic. Another route that we'd just like to preview and share with people, get feedback on is an E-line, which currently runs into town. The idea would be to adjust this line to make Malcolm Mackay service from Wahiawa to Eva Beach, and then connect everyone up in Mackay to the skyline. So that concludes the previews as well as some of the slide routes that are under consideration for October 1. The final slide there, what you can see, if you do have comments and questions, we would encourage them before July 15th. And please email them to thebusstop@honolulu.gov. That's thebusstop@honolulu.gov. The DTS website includes videos also on how to ride, how to transfer, fare capping, and more information, including this presentation if you'd like to look at it more slowly with more time. Thank you.
Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I've been on this board 20 years and I've been fighting for Skyline in transit that entire time. And it brings me a lot of joy, to put it mildly, to finally see this come into fruition. Can't believe it. Never thought it would happen. Continue your best efforts. This is great news for this community. I do want to specifically, as far as affecting Waikīkī at this juncture, is the W line, and I know this is proposed future changes, is that going to be express? Because I think what we need more is express service in lieu of, until we get Skyline up and running through the urban core. It's imperative when these buses connect to Skyline and they go to a destination like Waikīkī or downtown or certainly UH Manoa. I assume there's some stops in between, but can you tell me if we can emphasize making that as express as possible?
I will take that recommendation back to the team. The idea is that these routes are fewer stop routes that can move commuters to the employment centers faster.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you guys deal with a lot of crap, to put it bluntly. Skyline does. So, and everyone who's worked on this project, you should be proud of yourselves. I'm proud of you. Thanks for your efforts. You don't get complimented a lot, I don't think, but thank you for your efforts.
Really, the applause is for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I appreciate your indulgence, Chair, and I just want to echo Jeff's comments, right? I haven't been here 20 years, unfortunately, but I am really excited to see Skyline advancing. I'm a daily bus commuter taking the A line from here to Pearl Harbor, where my job is. And, you know, being able to utilize rail now for a part of that journey is pretty awesome. I'm loving what I'm seeing with the proposed W line and, you know, the truncated A line. So this is really exciting. And, you know, really the only thing I have to say is let's speed up getting towards not just Civic Center, but we need to push to Ala Moana. We got to push to finally build this thing all the way out to UH Manoa. And, you know, we just get this done. It's already providing benefits. It's going to provide more benefits. So thank you all for what you're doing. I'm loving the proposed changes, and I can't wait to see more proposed changes come online once Skyline gets further into the city. Mahalo.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have Daisy online. Daisy, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. In other words, if I heard correctly, Route 20 will be discontinued and then replaced by the W line. If so, how would hotel workers, majority of them catch the bus? How would they transfer? Because you no longer go to the major transit station area across the state capital to get to Pearl City, to get to Manoa, or to other places of Wahiawa, etc. Since we're asked you the question, where on Nimitz Highway is there a transfer station? You can't take it at the those Skyline stations because there's no bus service. You go to Middle Street, not every single bus stops there. You can't get to Liliha, you can't get to School Street, etc. So, I mean, I would suggest that you make W as an express to go straight to Skyline with few stops and leave the bus route 20 alone. And I suggest that you call and talk to the companies and people that work in Waikiki, especially the hotel workers, because they rely on the bus service so much that, you know, that is their life. They're gonna be so confused. How did they get home now? So I would suggest that it be two separate lines and you talk to those workers because it's gonna affect them and the tourists because you need to have it work and be successful. So I suggest that this is a serious problem. Like I said, you have not really thought of it completely because these people that depend on the buses are going to have a very difficult time getting to their home or destinations. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. That's a question and a comment and a concern that we've heard at other presentations that we've made. So appreciate you sharing that concern and we'll take that back.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
I just have a quick question. Is there a cost savings to the proposed changes, or is there a cost adder to the proposed changes that you're aware of?
As I'm aware, the idea is to maximize the subsidies that we get to operate our bus service. So it's trying to get more people on transit and utilizing the facilities and resources that we have.
Okay.
So
and
just maximizing service, not looking to make savings at this time or, yeah.
No, that part I understand. I guess the way I could reword it, do you know if there's a net savings by the less bus routes, less buses running, less operating time, or a cost adder where there's, you're rerouting, but there's actually, in some sections, maybe the frequency, just like Daisy was mentioning, there's a concern. Sometimes when you have to reroute and do things, you actually have a cost adder because you've got to have new routes that are different.
I understand your question.
So do you know if there's a savings or
I would have to
discuss?
find out for you.
Thank you.
on-
Okay.
but
I'd be
I understand
curious
your
to,
question.
thank you very much.
Just a quick question. I'm not familiar with all of the routes that you propose on here. Do they involve new bus stops or existing?
They may involve new bus stops. Is that correct? Yes.
So
Yeah.
all of these bus stops will consider crosswalks and ADA compliance so that our ADA people can join the bus in the new route.
I believe that's something that the DPS needs to consider when establishing new bus stops.
The reason I ask that is we've had concerns in the past where a bus stop is eliminated and the ADA person has to go another 2 blocks to find a safe place to cross the street. So please consider safety as well as speed on this.
Thank you.
I know you probably have.
But it's important for you to say.
Any other questions, folks? Anybody else online? If not, I hope you present this to the visitor industry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the use of city parks for dogs on leashes. Somebody here from that group? Somebody here from that group?
Hey, aloha. This is Nate Sirota from the Honolulu Department of Parks and Recreation. Sorry, I'm having issues with my camera. Let me see if I can fix it real quick. But not as much of a presentation, and pardon that I wasn't able to make it in person. I just got off of work actually a little bit a while ago. But for the most part, I believe you folks have a lot of the material regarding our efforts to expand on-leash dog parks within the city and county of Honolulu. If I can, I could share my screen and I can show you one of the resources that we made available to you folks. It's a digital map that basically shows the parks that are in your particular district, along with which ones already have the dog privileges.
Are you able to show it on your screen, on your end?
See. Here you go. All right, are you folks able to see this map? So here's your district right here. All of the dog parks are actually ones that have those red dots. And as you can see, there are technically no leash or off-leash dog parks in Waikīkī. Now, there's not terribly too many city park properties within Waikīkī proper. That's Kuhio Beach right there. You have Princess Ka'iulani Triangle there. That's Centennial Park. And then a couple of small areas. That's Donho Memorial Park. And then King Kalakaua Park. So and then probably the largest park location within this jurisdiction is Fort DeRussy, actually. But we do not have jurisdiction over Fort DeRussy. So there's not as many opportunities per se within your folks' district. Nonetheless, though, we would still like to hear your input on the effort in general. And if there are areas where you folks would like to see on-leash dog privileges, I have heard anecdotally some information about dog walkers wanting to use Centennial Park and the kind of discussions that they've had with the Rotary Club regarding use of that, because they have been such a great partner in activating that area and refurbishing it and improving it. And so, but really, we want to hear from you folks on where you would like to see some of these privileges within Waikīkī. And I see that on the agenda that you folks have it for a vote. You don't, by all means, you don't have to vote on it for today. Actually, if you refer to the letter that we sent last month, we would like for you folks to take the month of summer if you want to deliberate it amongst your communities. And then if you want to submit a form of resolution to us with the areas that you would like to see on-leash privileges extended, that would. Next. And then I did want to make one disclaimer. I am actually running to be on the neighborhood board for you folks. So just a disclaimer to that regard.
Are you asking us to consider this and then come back later to see if we like it?
Absolutely. Yeah, by all means, you folks don't have to submit any recommendations. Really, the changes can be made by the director, but we wanted to hear from the communities because there's a lot of valid concerns about extending dog privileges to parks. One of them is the sanitation consideration. While most dog owners are responsible and pick up after their animals, some are not. And then the other concern about dangerous dogs and dogs that are off leash. So to that regard, we are looking at having dog poop bag dispensers at certain park locations. Actually, the Waikīkī Business Improvement District has been a really good model for us because they actually have installed some of those bag dispensers along the Alawai Boulevard. And we've chatted with them and they gave us some good anecdotal information that they have seen better behavior amongst dog owners and less fecal matter in public places since they put those up. And every time I pass them on the Alawai, they are stocked and they're not terribly vandalized. And then regarding dangerous dogs, there was a state legislative act, Act 224, that passed last year and that goes into effect July 1st, that codifies what a dangerous dog is and increases the penalties for owners of dangerous dogs.
All right, I have Jeff followed by Catherine.
Yeah, Nate, I just have two questions. There's a very mini pocket park right across from my house at Kai'o and Hobron. That's the densest census tract in the state. There's huge dog populations. It's tiny, and I think it's maintained maybe by the watermarks. I don't even know if the city has jurisdiction over that, and it's not super large. So that's maybe one to consider just because it's so needed in that community. But that's maybe one to look at if it's under city jurisdiction. And then you also mentioned, of course, the jewel green space of Waikīkī is Fort DeRussy, Unfortunately, it's not under jurisdiction, but it's not under city jurisdiction. However, I go through there a couple times a day on my bike or walking. There's a huge dog people community. They really enjoy it. Of course, the dogs love it. I know it's federal property, but man, if there's anything, any joint effort that we can do with the Army, I mean, that would be a nice community give back. They could consider, but if there's anything that we can do to work with them, that of course would be the ideal dog park. Over.
Sure. So I think this is the corner that you're talking about, Hobron Lane, kind of how it dog rights there, yeah, from Lipepe. So yeah, that is part of the watermark. They allow leash dogs there. You'll see signs there that say, be considerate, pick up after your animal. But correct, that is not a city park. But you bring up a good point about Fort Tarusi, and actually they do allow leashed animals at Fort Tarusi. It actually says on their signs there, leash dogs allowed. So that's probably one of the main reasons why you see quite a good amount of dog owners already utilizing that space.
As a dog owner, this is Catherine Hensky. My family walks our two dogs in Kapiolani Park. They have been harassed sometimes by park officials saying they're not allowed to, even though they are always on a leash. I think it's interesting to see how many tourists approach them and say, oh, can we pet your dogs? Because they miss their dogs at home. And I see so many residents enjoying their dogs and very few troublesome dogs. I do think it would be a great asset to have the disposal centers and poopy bags available. I think that would perhaps lessen the burden on your park officials, but I'm all in favor of this.
Thank you, Catherine. And actually, Kapiolani Park is a very unique situation, and it kind of brings up another good point where technically it's only the median strip at Kapiolani Park that has been designated a leash dog park. So the strip on Kalakaua and actually kind of by Dillingham Fountain and then that cluster of ironwood trees as it goes into Pony Moi Road. So two kind of points with that. One, if we wanted to expand that, that's certainly an option. But there are also areas of parks that you can make for designated on-leash areas, which is a good tool to have because while there aren't many parks that have athletic field space in Waikīkī, there's a lot of district parks. I mean, Kapiolani is a great example where there's the soccer fields in the middle, right? And so, a lot of the permitted athletic groups would not like to see dogs using that area, and understandably so, where, there's concerns of dogs urinating or defecating on that space. So that's another consideration to make, is that it doesn't have to necessarily be an entire park. It can be a section of a park. But that's to speak to your point about why the rangers at Kapiolani Park were giving those dog walkers grief. It's for that reason. But certainly through this effort, we can expand that on-leash dog privilege to past the median strip at Kapiolani Park.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Worth speaking. So the email that I received from the department was about off-leash areas. I just want to make sure, I thought this was going to be about off-leash areas, and that area that Mertz talked about, I actually called the department before, and it is the watermark. However, the reason why they have that green space open is because it's required by law. So maybe there's a little wiggle room, since they're required to have it open. Maybe we could figure something out, because our generation is not having kids. We're having fur babies. So I definitely agree that we have a need for off-leash areas. And I love the fact that, I don't know if you've seen the LY Park where they actually have a small dog area that's separate from the larger dog area. I was hoping you'd take that in consideration also. And finally, I know that this is not, I love the idea about maybe asking the feds if we could get some of the land, because it's just open. And also the, what is that place called? Pacific, it's on Kalakaua, and where they're tearing down that building for the venue. That area right there, I know that's also owned by Asian Studies. They also have a huge area, and I've seen people with their dogs off leash, but not legally. I would love to see if maybe we could work with them. And finally, I know that on the corner of Keone and Kalakaua, there's a empty lot maybe if we could see if maybe the city could take it over and convert it to a dog park, that would be great because the lot's just sitting empty. If we could just rent it for a while, that'd be fantastic because we definitely need something in Waikīkī. Appreciate all your work.
Sure. And yeah, specifically this effort that we're working on right now is to do on-leash dog parks. And really, to be frank, it's because it's a fairly low-hanging fruit. So in order to make a park an on-leash dog park, it really just takes the director's approval. But again, we wanted to come to the communities to do it the right way and to hear from you folks about which spaces we want to activate with on-leash dog privileges. Certainly, we're looking to expand off-leash dog parks. It just requires a little bit more work in that we would want fencing. As you mentioned with the Alawai Neighborhood Park Dog Park, there is a fenced area for large dogs and small dogs. And then we also have access to water to fill up the dog drinking bowls. So just a little bit of infrastructure that's required when you have an off-leash dog park, certainly possible. But there's just some, we try to use off-leash dog parks as a way to activate underutilized areas. So for instance, at Ho'aloha Neighborhood Park, there was a section that had really great shade cover and that wasn't being used by any permitted groups. And so we made that an off-leash area and fenced it off. So that's certainly something to consider, making fenced areas for designated off-leash areas. But for now, this specific effort, we're looking to just expand the on-leash privileges.
And Nate, sorry, it's got me thinking now, but also the Ritz-Carlton, when they approved that, they had to provide that park, which is private property, but publicly accessible. So I get it, it's private property, but it is required to be publicly accessible. So it's completely underutilized. I cut through there a lot. And I don't think the Ritz-Carlton would want to do this, but maybe let's get with them and see if they can, because that'd be a perfect location for a dog park as well. And then also, Sarah mentioned that property right in Fort DeRusi, but it's the only two private properties there in Kalakaua. They're building the space for hula and other cultural events that's currently under construction. But man, let's think out of the box. When they're not having those events, if they'd be agreeable, they could open that up to the community. I don't know, and not have liability, whatever. I don't know what the end result's going to be, but that could be something as well. That could be encoded into their permit if they're agreeable to that. But that'd be a perfect location. It's sealed off, and again, when they're not doing performances, why not utilize it for community benefit? Over.
Quick question for me. Is there a budget involved in this?
No, again, so this is kind of a low-hanging fruit per se, where the changes that would be made would be director's approval. First, through this process, we would get the community input and then utilize that to figure out which areas to extend the privilege. And then really to change from no animals allowed to a leash dog park, one, director's approval, two, a matter of changing our website, and then three, changing the signs, the blue reflective signs that say no animals, and putting a sticker on it that says leash dogs allowed.
One question before I give it over to Greg. I live in a condominium. I'm required to maintain a little spot of green grass in front of it. 70% of the dog owners come by and pick up after their dogs. 30% of them leave dog doo-doo or whatever you want to call it and urine in my grass. And I have to pay a maintenance person to clean that. And I have to buy chemicals to disinfect it because of all the flies. And I know every dog owner in Waikīkī, the thousands of them, look for any piece of green grass they can find. So I think they're already using the parks. And I think we should have some money involved in maintenance for this so that we reduce the number of flies. We have the bags for them to dispose of it, the trash cans, if we do anything like this. But right now, I think you'll not find a dog owner that doesn't look for a piece of green grass in Waikīkī. Go ahead, Greg.
I was just going to comment on the property next to the Ritz-Carlton. I go through that park quite often, and there's always dogs in that park. They're on leash, off leash. running around. Sometimes somebody has, they're dog walkers. They bring 3 or 4 dogs. And there's no issue. They just, hang out there and you see the dogs running around and it's done. I don't know if it's legal, but it's done everywhere around. And Fort DeRussy is right across the street from where I live. That's where everybody goes. So, it'd be great to open up a little more and have some sections, but I'm not sure where, like you said, where the funding is or where the other public input is to this, if it requires a city council vote or something like that. But there's a lot more to this process, I think, that we need to look at.
So having said all of that, consider this and we'll look into it.
I've had my hand up for about 5 minutes.
Oops. Sorry, I didn't see anybody on there. Oh, Margaret. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Because I belong to the Diamond Head Kapahulu St. Louis Neighborhood Board and got the directive to, as dog walkers, I have been asking people that are walking their dogs around Kapiolani Park. We have a perfect place to put a dog park. The city already owns it. It's right by the library. It's a big, huge, right now it's got homeless there and it's a big, huge property. We own it. They were using it to store construction equipment that's been cleared out. And it's perfect. It's on Kapahulu, right at the corner of Alawai. And those people, they don't have any place to go. And like Catherine was saying, she illegally walks her dog around the park. This is a perfect place. It's too far away from the Bark Park on the back of Diamond Head, but it is ready to go. All you need to do is fence it and let's do it.
Well, thank you for that recommendation, Margie.
Any other comments? Any other comments?
Just a quick one. I mean, this may sound like a silly question, but if I understand it, you're asking us to sort of decide which parks should become dog parks as opposed to an overall policy of just having parks be more dog friendly? Is that what the issue, is that what the issue is? And what you're requesting us, you want us to kind of give input into which particular parks should be dog parks?
Correct. Yes. And by all means, there's no such thing as silly questions, only bad timing. And that was certainly not bad timing at all. Yes, this is exactly what we're looking to do. And so one thing that I failed to mention at the beginning, one of the reasons that kind of led to this effort was we realized that, legally only less than 15% of our parks you can have a dog in. We have some 305 park locations, big and small across the island, and less than about 46 of them had dog privileges, whether that's leashed or off leash. And so we really wanted to expand this. Granted, you could always walk a dog through a park. So any time of year, if there's a closed park, you can traverse like Kuhio Beach Park. You can traverse Kuhio Beach Park to get to the ocean any time of day. There's one of the beautiful things about Hawaii law is that you have to be able to access the ocean. Same is true if you're walking your dog, you can traverse a park. But very few parks, as I mentioned, can you actually stay inside of them with your leashed animal. And so that's something that we're looking to change. And hoping that you folks can provide some input on that.
Any other questions? Use the microphone over there. You'll feedback over there.
I'm Amy Ammon, full-time professional dog trainer for over 40 years. I have a lot to say on this topic. It can't hear me? Okay. I have a question about the laws regarding how much the fines are for people who do not pick up after their dogs. I don't think that we need to provide doggy bags. I mean, do you not know to carry one of those? Then maybe you should not be owning a dog. And the other thing is about leash laws in Honolulu, or I know about leash laws in different areas. In public, not at a dog park where it's fenced, but dogs need to be leashed or they need to be under verbal control. And I'd like that confirmed with the representative as far as what the laws say. On the beach, Kuhio Beach, I want to know if dogs are actually allowed on there. And I want to address Kapiolani Park as well. I have students who have been chased off that park. It is not legal to, as far as my understanding and the information from the police, they pointed out teeny McTiny signage that says no dogs allowed. So I would like all of those things to be addressed. Can you answer those questions?
So
Please.
regarding the beaches, they're kind of an interesting jurisdictional area. So if it's a city beach park, really the high water, it's generally understood that our jurisdiction ends at the high water mark. That's kind of where the ocean begins. And so for a lot of times, you'll see, I mean, Kailua Beach Park is a great example where there's, a contingent of dog walkers and dog owners who use that beach, and they'll walk their dogs along the wet sand, along the high water mark. And so they're technically in the ocean at that point. So to the best of my knowledge, there aren't any laws against having a dog in the ocean. Granted, that line between the city beach park, the dry sand and the wet sand is ever changing and, isn't always permanent. So that's my understanding when it comes to dogs on beaches. Regarding the picking up of fecal matter, agreed. Most dog owners are responsible and have the bags with them. What I have noticed is that when those bags are available in a dispenser, it can encourage other people to pick up fecal matter as well too. So if there's some dog waste left on the side of Alawai Boulevard, if there is the dispenser there and people see it, they may be more inclined to picking it up. And that's ultimately one of the things that we hope changes with this entire effort, is not just expanding the privilege, but kind of changing the culture around dog kahu and dog owners, where these expanded privilege, they have a sense of responsibility, that there are more places open to them, but that they also need to maintain control over their animals. And to speak to your point about verbal control, that is one of the guidelines that we have for off-leash dog parks, where if you are going to be in an off-leash dog area without your dog tethered to you, you have to maintain verbal control over them. But that's specifically for off-leash dog parks.
Any other questions on this? No, please use the microphone. And please don't talk about Kapiolani Park, because that's not us.
I will not speak those words. I did want a little clarification as far as the fines associated with having, not picking up after your pet. The second thing is a verbal control. If you're in a fenced area in a dog park, understood. But if you are, for instance, walking your dog on a sidewalk or another area, does law require the dog to be leashed? Or is it okay to have the dog off leash as long as it's under verbal control? Thank you.
My understanding is that yes, your dog needs to be leashed as you walk them on public roadways. I will double check that, but it's my understanding that unless explicitly said, that you do have to have your dog leashed. And so at that point, having physical control is significantly better than having verbal control.
Okay, so everybody look around where you'd like to recommend a dog park in Waikīkī, and they'll get back to us. So, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bob.
Director Lambert, you're here? Ah.
while he gets that going, I just want to say thank you to the neighborhood board. Thank you, Chair, for having me here tonight. And the community members that are really engaged in what goes on here in Waikīkī. Anybody been on this or been into these meetings since 2012? Anybody got 2012? Raise your hand. Yeah, anybody. Raise your hand if you've been coming to this since 2012. No, it's only because I was a sergeant back then and I used to take the tough questions that the lieutenants them had to take tonight. So back then, the big things were street performers, still allowed mufflers, which is an issue. And then actually the fights on Kuhio side with the clubs, which is no longer an issue. So now we have new issues. And that's why I was able to present. It's a little bit out of focus. So just to let you guys know, my name is Mike Lambert. I am the new director of the State Department of Law Enforcement. I am a cabinet member with Governor Green. And what we want to do is we would like to get the public's buy-in to invest technology advancements into the Waikīkī Peninsula area to try to increase public safety. As we know, right, law enforcement is short, the county HPD short, and we have to be realistic on what can actually happen, right? At the state level, I have 90 vacancies out of 450 sworn. HPD has somewhere in the ballpark of 450 vacancies out of 2,100 sworn. The reality is this. We can always come to you guys and just say, we're short, right? And then, you know, obviously you guys will feel disappointed and we'll feel defeated. So what I want to do is I want to try to utilize technology to fill those safety gaps that typically or historically were filled by a live body. In other words, right, what do we all wish? There was a cop on every corner, right? The reality is that's not going to happen, right? Is it possible for there to be a cop every corner via technology? That is possible, right? And one of the things that we're trying to produce here, next slide, is this safety via technology. So these real-time crime centers, and I know HPD is trying to get one started, but we want to do a state-level operation center. If you see here, this is Fort Myers. Ours will hopefully look as fancy. It should be completed in July. And what it is you have live monitoring of numerous cameras. I know that there's a small version of that in the Waikīkī sub. This would be monitored by sworn officers, right? So versus our Waikīkī ambassadors who do a great job, but not necessarily are they meant to be doing law enforcement functions. Next slide, please. So the real-time operations center, it has the capability to have active surveillance camera monitoring, license plate readers. If HPD would like to, we could go live stream with body-worn cameras. We do know the Aloha ambassadors are looking at body-worn cameras. So if they are willing to allow us to tap in, then we could go ahead and collect that data and monitor. Computer-aided dispatch systems, which I'll have to work out with the Honolulu Police Department, as well as social media monitoring. So for example, somebody's posting some dangerous things online, that would be monitored by this real-time crime center. Crime databases, and then the biggest thing is that advanced analytics, right? Utilizing AI. So what that means is that with all of those information sources, the computer will be trying to look for algorithms on like fight calls, right? Even some of the cameras we have is, for example, that incident with the Waikīkī shooting with the kids, right? If our real-time crime center was up, right, it is very possible that the sound of the gunshot would have been flagged, right? We would have active monitoring that went on. Potentially, if I can get past with FAA and some other regulations, perhaps even a drone would have responded and beat the officers there, beginning to record. You guys will hear a concept nationally, which is called DFR, which is drone as a first responder. It's been very successful in other counties or other towns. And what it is that there is no way that an officer, especially being short, right? In other words, there's not enough beats, is gonna beat the drone to the call. So what that means is if heaven forbid you're being robbed, you call it in, at the very least, the drone will come fly, it'll actively record. It would provide a message saying you are being recorded. Please stay in view of the drone. I'm gonna be honest, guys. The criminals are gonna run away. They're not gonna want to be actively recorded, right? And all of these technologies are here and available. It's 2025, right? The biggest hurdles, which we'll talk at the end, is over monitoring. I can tell you guys right now, who goes to Las Vegas, right? Who feels safe when they're in a casino, right? And why is that? Because every inch of it is being monitored, right? So we got to get out of this, oh, I'm being monitored. You know, even for me, right? I go to there, who am I? I'm just a guy in a casino having a good time, right? If I'm not going to break the law, who cares what you're, you know, you might watch me lose a lot of money and be sad when I walk out. But other than that, right, I don't care, right? So next slide. So this is the partnership request I'll be making to the businesses and hotels, right? The reality is this, is that they already have existing public-facing cameras. So what we want to do is we have technology available to us that we could utilize the existing public-facing cameras to go ahead and have our real-time operations center essentially be able to see all of the activities going on in Waikīkī. We want to put up license plate readers at the choke points, and I'll show it on a map. So what that would mean is that if there are people coming in and going out, we'd be able to identify individuals that are committing crimes, right? So right now, we don't have that ability. Everything is kind of, if you guys don't get a license plate, I'm going to be honest, nothing's going to happen. But if you guys are able to get some descriptors, right? We saw the car going this way at 7 o'clock. It was a black Honda Civic, right? If you have a license plate reader system, we would be able to look and flag via the AI screening, looking for black sedans. And then we could work backwards, right? These are all the type of investigative technologies that should you be a victim of a crime, the likelihood of justice is increased. Next slide. So this is what the layout would look like, right? So what you guys are seeing is in orange, our ALPR, which is a fancy, it's a long word for automated license plate reader, and regular circuit cameras. If you notice, I'm picking all of the entry points and exit points in and out of Waikīkī, as well as some main thoroughways. So if somebody is committing a crime and they're still within the geographic area of Waikīkī, we could go ahead and share that information with the Honolulu Police Department. We are looking at having drone launch pads, and those are just renderies. It might kind of be kind of zigzaggy once we figure out which buildings would actually allow us to have our drones mounted on their rooftops. And in UHF, our little readers. So what we were going to do is pitch it to the visitor or tourism community. And even if you guys would like it for your loved ones that perhaps are on the spectrum for autism or live with dementia, what happens is those bands, if you're registered, we would know the last one they flagged, right? So in other words, you live in the green area, right? Your loved one has dementia or has autism. We would know if they passed the next blue dot, right? And what that does is it helps first responders to kind of geographically focus on where that missing individual may be. I have a large family with a bunch of kids. If I was on vacation, I would love to have them band up so that if I was separated in a crowd, I would at least know geographically that they haven't left Waikīkī and in what general area they are. So again, this technology exists. The offer that I'm making to the Waikīkī community is that I'm willing to, off of a state budget, to invest in the license plate readers, the drones, and the UHF readers, just as seen on that diagram. That's somewhere in the ballpark of $300,000 worth of tech investment. And again, it only works if I can piggyback off of the hotels and the business camera so that I can actually see real time what's happening in Waikīkī. Next slide. So again, what's the benefits of the program? Increased security presence via technology, data sharing, real-time intelligence, faster response time via drone. And the biggest thing here is we realize that Waikīkī is the gem, right? It's an economic engine. So we, on top of the visitors, on top of the residents, of course, we also want the visitors to have an improved experience by knowing that this is a very safe place to travel. This technology in places like Miami Beach have dramatically increased, I guess, desire to travel for safety. San Francisco in their Union Square, same thing, had a lot of problems. It was overrun. Large investments in technology by that business community has improved, and even pockets in Chicago, as violent as Chicago is, with these large investments have been able to, at the very least, deter in those geographic areas certain types of crime. So before I go into questions, I'm well aware of the over-monitoring issue, but like I said, I really think that is something that hopefully we can overcome as a community, because if you guys aren't breaking the law, you're just going to be, a little body moving through the screen. We're really trying to look for high-level crimes. Obviously, that shooter. What's not on this slide is we are also willing to invest in a shot spotter, and what that is technology that is tuned, and they look like little speaker boxes around the community, and we would have it tuned for anything that sounds like gunfire. And the technology exists for the drone to fly exactly to that spot should it be triggered. Sometimes it might be a garbage can falling over or something else, but if it's a real-time live fire situation, we would be able to go ahead and get those drones out, push it to the Waikīkī substation so that the officer monitoring there would be able to let officers know. This is not a promise, but just a selling point, is that that shot spotter technology can be tuned for loud mufflers, right? But that would require several things. It would require legislative action to allow it, just like the speed cameras and red light cameras. Secondly, it would require, because mopeds are the issue, that another law, I'm not too sure if that would be at the state or county level, would require mopeds to actually have a motorcycle license plate so that our license plate readers can go ahead and flag those individuals. The technology is good, but I don't think it's that good to get a little tiny sticker. So those, like, again, I'm not offering that today, but this type of technology makes it possible, right? So I just want to be clear on that. Don't just say, hey, he said you guys would do mufflers. Future, right? Possible. But all of the other stuff I talked about today is doable.
Questions starting with Catherine.
Thank you for coming tonight. I have 3 questions. You said that you want to pair this up with the hotels and businesses. What has their reaction been so far?
In fact, I was able to pitch it to the Waikīkī bid, and right now there's some excitement about it. I'm sure there's going to be some people that, based on their legal team, they're going to not want to participate. But overall, it seems relatively positive from the business community and the hotel community.
Secondly, I'm very impressed with the fact I have a son with autism, so that strikes close to my heart. Would this service be 24/7?
Yes, so it'd be 24/7. Right now, we have a vendor that would monitor it, almost like an alarm company. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to try to hire a new class of law enforcement to encourage the younger individuals to participate. I go to high school events trying to recruit the law enforcement, and when I say, oh, it's a rewarding job and all this stuff, they just kind of like stare at me. But when I say, we're looking for drone pilots, we're looking for people to monitor our real-time crime center, you just see them get really interested. So at some point, we're going to create, you're going to hear the technology enforcement officer. They will be unarmed, but their job is to monitor this tech, and they do have the ability to testify in court. And for red light cameras, noise cameras, anything else that should be in the future in Waikīkī, they would be able to sign off on those citations and make sure that people are held accountable.
Other questions? Ken? Please use the mic.
First of all, I want to say I like your proposal. It reminds me of the spy movies I watch every night on TV. I really like it. Did you say that the full cost of this is like 300,000?
So that's just the cost of the equipment install. So that doesn't cost that doesn't count the monitoring,
or personnel,
the real bodies. Yeah, that's just the tech investment.
I want to bring up a question for you then, that we've all been told that we can't staff 911 24/7. And the reason that we can't staff it is because there's not enough people who apply who want to do the job. So it's interesting to hear that all these young kids want to sit there and watch TV. It's just like playing with their phone.
Sure.
But how is it that we can set up this kind of spy overlook network, but at the same time, not be able to fund 911?
Right. So 911, they do answer the phone 24/7. Now there may be delays because they do have staffing shortages. Yeah, I'm on the state now. I used to be HPD for 22 years. I'm on the state side. So
let me just tell you from personal experience, and everybody here has heard this story. But one morning, Saturday morning, 9:45, I was walking across the Alawai Bridge. There were quite a few people on it, and some guy asked me for a cigarette. And I just said, no, I don't smoke. And I got about 10 feet further, and I heard something coming up from behind, and the guy just clubbed me in the head, knocked me down. But I had the wherewithal as I was falling to say, Siri, call 911. And by the time I hit the ground,
oh,
we should have seen it. We should have seen if anybody was working. But the answer that I got as my butt hit the ground was there's no one that can take your call right now. And just then, the guy who hit me in the head, who had army boots on, gave me a big kick right in the back of the ribs and broke 3 of my ribs. And Daniel got really interested, this is my son, and he called all the hotels, all the police, and trying to gather all the film and stuff that was available. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but I think some of it was in disrepair, it didn't work, or it didn't capture anything. But, you know, whatever they have now was no help whatsoever.
Sure.
And 911 was no help whatsoever, you know. Finally, somebody called an ambulance, and the officer asked me if I wanted to take an ambulance. I said, how much will that cost? I said, $2,000. I said, no, I think I'll make it there by myself. And then he came and took me, and I did have 3 broken ribs. But I don't know how we're going to do all this if there's so many other things that we can't do. We all here also know that, what are we, 400 policemen short?
450 HPD, and on the state level, we have about 90.
Will this cut down on the number of officers that we need?
No, so again, this is just a gap stop, right? So the reality is this, people aren't attracted to law enforcement, and that's something that as a law enforcement community, we have to overcome. So the only viable option are for non-traditional law enforcement roles. And for whatever reason, those have been trending very popular from your 16 to 24-year-old. So that's why I'm trying to create this type of system that attracts that demographic.
Where are you now in terms of projecting when this project may actually happen?
So pending MOAs, and of course you have to install and build out and whatnot, but once we get through the legal portions, the install can probably take maybe a month or 2 to start to put up the cameras and the active monitoring. So it's very possible from the end, or once we get into agreements it could be within 12 months. And just like anything else, it's not gonna just pop up magically. It's gonna be turned on in sections, and you know, we're gonna be trial and error, and we're gonna be hiring and all of these things. And nothing is perfect, right? And I acknowledge that, right? Nothing I can present to you guys will end crime. This is just a very strategic way to utilize what we do have in regards to technology to make an attempt to improve what we have going on with all those issues.
When you get to the point where you're ready to put up cameras, you should come and talk to me, because I have a lanai right over Ala Moana. And if you put a camera up there, you get 100 loud mufflers a day, easily, easily.
Well, we'll circle back once, if that law gets passed for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Concept.
Appreciate that.
Sarah?
Yeah, it is very concerning how many empty law enforcement positions we have. But I have to say, the fact that you thought of it, like immediately thought of spy movies, you're very good at marketing. So maybe you should be the guy like pitching for the police department, because you do make it sound kind of like sexy, you know, like drones and, you know, immediately going to shots fired. So yeah, I love this pitch, by the way. It's just,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do, since we're running out of time, I'd like to have someone make a motion to support the concept of this project. Sarah makes that motion, and second with Ken.
Thank you.
So we can have some more, we want more discussion on this, because we are running low. But I think for him to proceed to make all the MOU arrangements and get make sure the laws are on his side. Maybe he'll have the governor watching the screens, I don't know. But is there any further discussion before we vote? Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a comment. We have public-facing cameras at our hotel. And there has been numerous times when HPD has requested copies of this, and what they wanted us to do is to put it on a thumb drive and send it to them. Well, what happens then is that when it gets into court, if the guy has any kind of a good defense attorney at all, he asks him, what is the custody of this video? So I would like to suggest that if you're going to want video from people from the hotels, that you send a policeman down there to take copy it and take custody of it, so they can testify in court that they've had custody of it. instead of having a resident manager or a board member or something like that, have to go down to court and then have basically defeated because.
Yeah, that's actually a prosecutor rule. So it's
Yeah.
not something that HPD makes up or law enforcement makes up. It's required that whoever had control of that system go ahead and turn that over to law enforcement. The reason why that's required is because if not, we would need a search warrant to access that file. So that's why it's so necessary. I apologize, that's just the process. But with this active center, if you guys are allowing us access, then we wouldn't need you guys. We would just be monitoring via us.
Yeah, I'd be willing to put it in front of our board. I think that it's an interesting proposition.
I appreciate that.
There was a short time when there was a lieutenant that always came to pick up the videos. And I thought that that was very effective. But that has fallen by the waysides and I mean, the prosecutor's office literally asked us to send them a thumb drive. And I mean, that means that our people have looked at this video and it's no good in court anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can work through those hurdles.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No,
I'd like to call the question.
No, I support this. I mean, I think it's a really interesting, excellent idea. And, you know, I know Jacob was making some comments about the ACLU before, and just so you know, I mean, I'm someone that often is allied with the ACLU. And I think that we shouldn't be blind to the potential civil liberties aspects of this thing. But I think that what Major Lambert said that really rings true to me is that we've been talking for years about we want a cop on every street. And as he says, it ain't going to happen. I mean, this board we want more cops and things like that. So this is a very intriguing substitute for something like that. And so I think we should support the concept. One question I got is, so I could see where this would help apprehend somebody, but is there going to be some effort made to make people aware that because if people aren't aware, I mean, you want to deter and prevent crime. Obviously.
Absolutely. So we're going to have a lot of signs up. We're going to do a lot of media. We want people to know that this is a heavily monitored area. For me, growing up in Hawaii in the 90s, I never came to Waikīkī because I knew for sure if my tint was off, if I was going to play my music loud, it was a sure thing. So, you know, let's fast forward 30 years. We have to make sure that it's a sure thing in Waikīkī, right? So that if you do want to break the law, we're going to get you on camera. We're going to prosecute you. And again, without bodies, cameras is the only thing that can be.
So it'll be like, hey, smile, you're on camera. Or...
Yeah. So when you come in, it would have big signs. You're being monitored, you know. And for me, you know, when I go to other places, I'm glad that it's being monitored. Great. I'm with my kids. I feel pretty safe.
Excuse me, point of information, could we have the last two presentations be the first presentations on next month's agenda, please? That'd be the best way to do it, I think.
Fine,
Thank you, please.
fine. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to support from Sarah, right? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, Greg.
Aloha, Chair. I share that concern and I share another concern, and I appreciate what you're doing. I support fully HPD. I actually used to play a cop on TV in another generation when I was in San Francisco. So I fully support what you're doing. We're running out of time. This is about to end. There was no presentation on the shared Google Drive regarding this particular presentation, so I didn't have a chance to see that. The public didn't know what this was about. We should not be taking a vote this evening because of that. That's a sunshine rule violation. I didn't bring it up because I didn't know you were planning to do the vote the way you were doing it. We should have
It's on
had,
the agenda for
we
a
should
vote.
have also had, as a point of order, we should have had the first item for new board business should have been the last item that we didn't finish, the Alawai Bridge that goes month after month after month and never gets properly addressed. So I requested that in writing, and we are not there again. So that said, your presentation was great. I fully support, but we should be doing this at the next meeting as far as a vote. And I know we're out of time. Thank you.
Sunshine law says may, it doesn't say have to. I read it.
That's not correct. And I have a YP and I'll get a written opinion if you need it. Thank you.
But we're out of time. I'll take a vote. Sarah's motion fought with Ken's.
Again, point of order. There should be no vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, am I allowed to rescind my motion? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Is
you
it
can
allowed-
rescind
I'm
it.
sorry. Is that allowed?
He resends it, so yeah, Sarah. Sarah rescinded.
Sorry, they make a lot of good points, so I'm so sorry, but may I rescind my motion?
Mr. Chair, you can proceed in the vote. I don't think it's a big thing, but I do agree with the gentleman who spoke. We have not heard, I don't know if you asked for public comment before or right after his presentation, but I think the points are well taken and we ought to listen to what the public says.
Any further comment on this issue? Sir, did you want to say something on this?
I'm Patrick Smith. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I just have a couple questions and a comment.
Sure.
So what state agency is?
So State Department of Law Enforcement, they were created January 1st, 2024, and they brought together the sheriffs, harbors division, state narcotics. So basically all the small state agencies into one role.
So if you employ, like, say, the plate readers, and if you employ, say, from what I gathered, you could have people where you track like the elderly, maybe disabled children, anything like that. What happens to that data?
It would be held, so we would have to this is the pitch phase, right? So once we get that going, a lot of times the data would be held for probably 12 months, some shorter depending on what the state rulings are regarding information.
Would there be an audit to make sure that that data is not used in an inappropriate fashion? And would there be some there'd have to be pretty clear definitions to make sure determining what inappropriate is.
Right, so that would be something that we would have to operate under Hawaii revised statutes. So anybody could make a Chapter 92F request for that certain types of audit. Obviously, we wouldn't be willing to show you video because it could be fruits of a crime. However, if you guys, can you be more specific? Like, for example, what could I provide you?
Commercial businesses could make a request for that information. Is that true?
It would be depending for the purpose. So everything would be for.
So there is a purpose restriction in that.
Right, they can't just be like, can I check out your video?
I don't want to take too much time, but where can I find more information about this? Pardon me? Oh, it's on the next meeting agenda? Okay.
Yeah,
Is
so
there-
I mean, well, so like I said, the Department of Law Enforcement, if you go on law, on our website, then you can just set a request and then I'll answer all your questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Any other comments? Anybody else? See anybody else? No more comments. So we have a motion, we have a second.
Oh, okay. So this is to supporting the concept of The proposed Waikīkī safety project.
Point of order,
Yes.
2 points of order. One, the meeting time has gone by, and when we were at this point at the last meeting, you shut down the discussion at 9 o'clock for the Alawai pedestrian bridge.
Yes.
This particular issue or item was not at on the shared Google Drive at meeting materials for the public or the board to know what this was about. It's very specific. It wasn't specifically written on the agenda. It is a violation of the Sunshine Law. There should be no vote taken. So the meeting time is done. There should be no vote taken for this. We're at a crossroads, and the chair should recognize these points of orders. There's 2 of them now. 1, we've gone past the time. 2, as I said earlier, this was not on the meeting materials section for the shared Google Drive. It's a Sunshine Law violation. It wasn't specific the way it was even presented on agenda.
Okay, everybody, before we get in knee deep, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and we'll do this next time.